Where is my charge? There it is. This tripod does what it's supposed to do. And I have no water. Why? Why do I have water? No water, no broadcaster. Lizard. The Lizard King. Is it the Lizard King? Jim Morrison, the Lizard King? Can't remember now. What's going on, Lacey? Broadcasting again. Had some very interesting conversation the other night. But last night, I was supposed to come on live and just had a bunch of, I guess you could call it an adventure, trying to see a movie. First, it said I didn't have the ticket when I pushed it online. Then it said, then my bank said I got charged twice. And so I was like, well, shoot, I bought every seat in that theater. And then when I got there, well, I actually called them before I went, and they said, don't worry, you can talk to the manager. So I get to the theater, and, I see electric, but, I trust them that something happened because their electric went out, and they're trying to restore everything, and I guess all the films shut off, and all these things were going on. And, of course, I'm just walking into it. It looks normal, but the managers are, like, there's one manager there, he's, like, going crazy. And I would say I got some free tickets, but really, the courtesy tickets it gave me was for the two that I've already bought. And I think I got a third ticket for free. So I did get one free ticket, I think. Yeah, it was quite an adventure. By the time I got done, I didn't broadcast before I went because I almost thought I was going to miss the movie, and then I didn't broadcast when I came home either. Anyway, I promised I would. Can't keep the perfection all the time. Things happen. How are you doing tonight? I think you're the only person in my room right now. It's not busy. I wanted to take a break from life. I'm not going to go into detail on all the drama. I don't even like to use that word, but people used it on me. All the drama that I've been going through. It's kind of a ridiculous word when you think about it. I mean, if you watch reality TV and it's all scripted and you see all this drama where people are pretty much told what to say, or they tell the script writers what their feelings are and they tell them how to exaggerate it to get a better story going. You can call that drama. I mean, YouTube, I guess they get into little battles with each other. You can call that drama, but what people were calling drama was my actual life, and I didn't mean to broadcast it, but it just happened, and it wasn't really Spiritualnicus TV as much as it was just me. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. It's not an issue anymore, really. feels good to fuzz out. That's what I'm saying. What's going on, Brooklyn? So yeah, so I'm trying to get back into my broadcast now. Um, I'm also trying to get a format and get everything going the way I was trying to before. Got my website going, and I still haven't got it straight because it's only been a day or two since people have given me some ideas on what I can do to get this, more what I want it to be. I guess is what I'm getting at, and I think it's going to boil down to me learning how to do YouTube videos. Um, I'm going to look at it from that perspective and see if that works. And at the same time, I'm trying to open my mind to other ways because I don't see why I should be dependent on YouTube. Um, I don't know. I'm going to have to look and see how people do YouTube differently than just the stuff that I watch. Sounds good. Great job setting some laws down. I mean, I'm working on it. I'm really working on it. I mean, I let my life became a runaway train for a month. I just went completely off the tracks, and it was fun, and it was crazy, and a little bit of pain here and there involved, but it's how you grow, right? But now I'm trying to get back to it. The other night we had some discussions on how to. I guessed it with. I guess I call him Dizzy because I can't really pronounce how he has his name. Um, and he's trolling me, and I thought it was funny. And I always guess my trolls if I can, if they're like really funny. Um, so I don't know. I didn't go into ice cold chill because I'm trying to get back into broadcasting, and I am kind of chilling now. What time is it? It's like, what did I just get a notice, and now I don't know what the notice is. It is like 10:30. Yeah, because I used to not get on. It was always how late could I get on? Just because I just program myself that my energies don't get up till 1 or 2 in the morning, and I rarely got on before midnight. But then, I would get no sleep, so I'm trying to broadcast earlier. Can't guarantee I'm going to do like the 8 o'clock thing because that's like there's a reason why that's prime time is because there's all kinds of things you feel like doing, whether you want to go out and take a walk and try and get back into shape, or whether you just want to go watch a movie or do something on TV. 8 o'clock isn't the time that you always want to just dedicate your life to some spot like your TV show. But I'll think about that depending on how that goes. So right now I don't know what's going to happen next. I do have a lot of ideas, and I'm trying to kind of bounce it off of people who are interested in doing what I'm doing. Hey, Princess, how you doing tonight? Um, I'm trying to also figure out if now that I actually have viewers come in my room and I can actually hold a broadcast where I actually have 10 people stay in my room and just stay in there, which took me a long time to do. Um, I would like to get it up to 20 or 30, but I'm not going to even look at numbers. It's just basically keeping people's attention and entertaining them and getting them interested in what's going on. Um, I have some guests that I had lined up that I'm going to try and get and see if they're still interested because I made a big deal about it to my fans, and then I went and told these guests, some very interesting writers and physicists, philosophers, you know, and then a month later I didn't say nothing to them, so I'm wondering how that's going to go. Hey Zoe, how you doing? It's really hard once you try and get people who are very busy and very professional and they're writers and successful at their life, and you know you got to kind of interest them, twist their arm, spark their interest, um, and it's really hard to get their interest. And so if you get them interested out of their busy lives and they're ready to make a schedule, and then you just disappear for a month or two and don't even say anything, I don't know how that's going to work. Yeah, I tell you what, man, it's an adventure, right, Lacey? It's a total adventure. And my fans have stuck with me. To me, that's amazing. It's just because it got to the point where I just wanted to live my life the way I wanted to live my life, and I got a little, I don't know, I don't want to use the word obsessive. No, I don't want to use that word. It's not really true. It's why would you call someone who's passionate obsessive? It's just because it's hard to get me passionate about certain things, and it's rare that I get that passionate. Um, maybe a tiny bit of obsessiveness was involved, but it was really passion. I think that's a better word. Passion is not a psychological disorder. You know what I mean? I'm trying to see if this light can do its job here. I'm sure I'm burning my electric bill with it, so it should do something, right? Like either lights me up too much, and there we go, or it just doesn't do nothing. That's two options, all or nothing. So I'm just trying to get into the groove of broadcasting. You know, at least 2 or 3 times a week. There's no way I'm going to guarantee an everyday deal. If people got in my head that if you don't broadcast every day, then you're disrespecting your fans and disrespecting YouNow. I think that's maybe when you start out, the only way that people even know who you are is you broadcast every day. But you know, YouNow is obviously a very important part of my life, and I want to do something with it. But I'm not going to make it my life, like literally let it take over. I've let certain other things take over my life that way, and I just think it's dangerous to just take one aspect of your life and just let it overtake everything until you don't even exist without it. That's it's not really healthy if you let it go that far, is it? My personal view. So, I mean, I'm a spiritual anarchist. Yeah, it's still my name. You could see that's my name. And that's what my broadcast is about. This whole purpose of choosing the name. A lot of people choose different handles on here. I'm not sure what their purpose is sometimes. Just to have a handle, just everyone creates handles. Before YouNow existed, there were chat rooms and there was no video in the chat rooms. And people just wanted to be noticed. And they would choose a handle that would just get people's attention. And sometimes there was purpose and character behind what their handle was and explain part of what they was, what they, who they are. But most of the time, it's just to get attention or whatever. My handle actually means something. And so I'm broadcasting a spiritual anarchist. But everyone knows my name is Brian, and I guess for some people, saying spiritual anarchist is like, or typing it out is like a pain in the ass to them. I don't know. I know when you type in like the at sign, and you type the beginning of someone's handle, it spells it out for you anyway. But my thing is, a lot of people's regular names are almost as long as that. So I don't know what the issue is, except that some people don't like the word anarchist. Yeah. If I call myself spiritual Christian, um, I don't think too many people would make a big deal about the wall name, except maybe they'd say, "Well, why not just call yourself Christian or whatever?" But I don't think I would get as much confusion or complaints or whatever about that. And I don't think the word Christian is really that much shorter. CHRISTAN. I don't think I can count the letters in my head. I don't think it's that long. I don't think the word Christian is that much shorter than the word anarchist. It's maybe anarchist is one syllable more with a couple more letters. Yeah, a lot of people call me spiritual, and I like it because the word anarchist to people who don't know what I'm about is too confusing, and people call me antichrist and all kinds of bullshit. Um, I know when you call me spiritual that you're still acknowledging I'm spiritual anarchist. Um, And I know that when people spread the word, hey, go check out the Spiritual Anarchist TV or check out his broadcast. I know people are telling people, hey, check out Spiritual Anarchist. They're not saying check out Spiritual because you probably won't find me that easy that way. Why are you confused, Zoe? You can't be confused that easily. You were gone for 1 minute. We are just discussing on my name, basically. It's not that confusing, Zoe. Haven't slept. Okay, well now I know why you're confused. Yeah, I guess so, Zoe. Why did you stop sleeping? What possible purpose could that serve? We gotta watch Zoe. Zoe's like my good friend. She's sleep is for the weak. Oh my god. Okay. Wow. Yeah, sleep is for the weak. I'm so happy to be getting sleep now. Yeah, I mean that's the whole point, Lacey. Is um, people always ask what it means, and I combine philosophical anarchism with spiritual atheism, and then people want to know what a spiritual atheist is. I mean, the whole point is to get people to ask questions, and I do like it because the majority of people are in their preconceived ideas of how the world should be, and to just say you're an anarchist could mean anything. And most people have some very bad views of anarchism and anarchy and so on. And some people just, when I first used the word anarchist, people would say, "Oh, you want chaos, or you want to overthrow the government, or you're terrorists." They just would name every damn negative thing they could think of, and they would just think of them as stereotypical bullshit. Um, but when I call myself spiritual anarchist, it makes it a little bit harder for people to make those assumptions. Yeah, my website, I think, explains some things pretty well. What do you think? Did I over-explain it? Is it clear? Because there's a part where I just go do a little diatribe, and I've been too lazy to. I was going to do a little hiding on it. I was going to. Oh, the website notes. Zoe, we're going to work together. Just bear with me. She had some notes on how to improve the website. But yeah, do you just want to know if you're insane, or are you just checking my eye colors out? I mean, my eyes change color with my mood, but usually both the same, to my knowledge. Um, they go from blue to blue-green, depending on my passion or intensity. And I can't really see them. Is the green in there? Maybe. I don't want to sit there and stare at the camera and show all my dark circles in my eyes, but yeah. But what color are they, though? It's probably shadows. So they're just straight out blue. I mean, the normal eye color that I have when I'm like in a complete calm state is blue gray, and they can become very very gray blue, very um, almost like steel gray. Or that's what I thought my normal eye color is. Um, I'm rarely that calm though. When I did meditation a lot, I was. Um, but as my emotions become more intense, or my passions change, or I start to feel different energies, um, my eye colors will shift to the gray will start to shift out, and they'll become more blue. And the more blue they become, the more green will come in. And I'm kind of frustrated because I don't, I know that's not my natural eye color, but it's been a while since I see my eyes get that green to them. And when I see that color, it makes me feel like that I'm connecting with a part of myself that's very hard to connect to. And so when I don't see it for a long time, I'm wondering, I don't want to word it this way, but I don't know how to word it. I wonder what I'm doing wrong. Like, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not doing something wrong, but it's like there's different parts of me, different energy levels, and sometimes when I don't see something or feel something, I feel like I miss that energy level. Dizzy drama. I was, I call him Dizzy. Oh, thanks for inviting 77 fans. Awesome. Get some more people in here. So, what's going on with the drama? Is it the same person I was guesting with the other night? Dizzy? That's what I call him. He said I could call him Dizzy. There major drama in the Dizzy fan base. Wow. So, I guess I dropped my drama for a while, and, which actually was real life, so it's kind of weird to call it drama, but everybody kept calling it that. And so now we need to make up for that, right? So I wasn't broadcasting last night, so did he flip out? What are we talking about here? Zoe. We're doing YouNow drama right now. I don't really want my show to be like a drama show, but it is kind of amusing sometimes. Maybe we can come up with a better word. It's almost like we trivialize what's going on in people's lives when we use that word. Bunch of 12 to 14-year-olds freaking out because a guy flirted with them after they're extremely explicit. Wait a second. The 12 to 14-year-old girls were explicit and just acting like they're 18 to 20, and then a guy flirted with them, and then they freaked out because. Am I understanding what happened? Wow. I mean, why? We've been asking, some of us, the older people in YouNow, have been asking, considering the nature and content of YouNow, either why are 12 or 14-year-olds allowed on YouNow, or my viewpoint is every chat room I've ever been since the internet began had rooms that everybody can go in. They had rooms that were specifically for teens and would block out other people. And they had adult rooms that if you're under 18, you can't come in. But YouNow, it just mixes people. And I have to, when I first came on YouNow, everybody that was broadcasting was saying that they're at least 18. Most of them were in their 20s. And I flirted with a lot of young girls on here thinking that they're in their 20s. And when they said they were 18 or 17, I freaked out. I was like, what I mean? It's like, I feel like I just committed a crime and I've been tricked and, what do they call it? Jailbait. And I was just flirting though. I wasn't trying to, I was just joking and just trying to pet their ego, make them feel better because a lot of them were whining about, each one thought that they were nothing compared to the other people. And I just thought, give yourself a break. But I thought if I was flirting at all, I thought it was with women that are in their 20s. I didn't realize what was going on. Now I'm like so careful. I didn't want to go into their rooms unless I card them. Wow. So what did Dizzy do? What happened with this drama? Because it sounds like you're saying he was involved in finding this out and did something. Did he report people? What happened? Did he report the guy? Did he report the girls? I mean, if YouNow's not going to, make age-appropriate rooms, Dizzy and I were roped because he came onto his broadcast freaking out. So they did a broadcast, and they got explicit in their broadcast, like going way beyond somebody, who's under 18 should even be talking about. And then some guy came onto them strong, either not knowing or not caring how old they were. They freaked out and came into Dizzy's broadcast. Is that it? Were they broadcasting? Were they doing it? They're explicit in the chat. Well, that's even worse because then you really can't tell how old somebody is. That's why you have to be really careful on YouNow. If you're broadcasting, you can try. Once you know that there are people underage, you can try and figure it out. But if they're just in the chat, oh, okay. So somebody not only, wow. So they were getting explicit. So is it possible the person thought they were of age, or he was just something wrong with them? Because how do you know? I mean, you told me you're 16 or 17, so I knew you're underage. But not everybody comes on my broadcast and tells me how old they are. And that's why, several times I've tried to, tone down my broadcast because I don't know how old people are in here. Like I said, when I first started YouNow, I didn't know anybody under 20. Actually, I didn't know anybody under 18 was allowed, and I thought most people were in their 20s. In your bio. So, I mean, if I click on your name, though, it says 5Z Lovely 77. Oh, it does say, I am Zoe, I am 16. Yeah, if it doesn't say that, though, because most people, I click on their name, and it doesn't say that. Let me see. Curious here. Let me see what Lacey says. See, Lacey says, Lacey Sconme US, 25 fans, and then the whole profile, when I click on her name, I don't know what it says if I go to her profile, just says, nailed it. That's all it says. So I have no idea how old Lacey is. And if she told me, I forgot. And I don't know why she's not fanned. YouNow is freaking me out with that stuff. I've known Lacey a long time. It's weird that it says I didn't fan her. Did Nexus just come in? What's going on, Nexus? calm down from last night. So Nexus was involved, or was there? You're asking Nexus if he calmed down from last night? I don't even know. I can't even remember who's male and who's female if I can't look at the picture or whatever. That a lot of times people have to remind me. I think Nexus is male. Daniel, okay. At least some people putting their names in their bios. I think people should put their name and age in their bios, like right at the top. Although they don't give us much room to put a bio, so if you put anything, it like takes up the whole thing. I don't really think that's really that fair. In fact, you should be able to put your name and age in your bio, and shouldn't even take up the part that you type and write your your bio in. It should just be something that's on there, like any chat or dating site or anything. It should just be put in there for you. Okay, so Lacey's 19, so Lacey's not underage. Uh, Nexus is so upset that Nexus can't even talk about it. And social repos always goes in girls. That's Richie. That's Jacqueline Glenn's boyfriend. I forgot why he told me he went in girls. I don't know. He's just one of these people that gets bored, and I can understand it. I don't think it would do me any good to do it. I mean, I got a decent fan base and very loyal fans like Zoe and Lacey and now Nexus, and to me, I don't want to pick on people, but it's almost like a gimmick, and um, he's got a fan base based on his YouTube videos. He's popular as it is, so he's probably just doing it just to. What happened to Taijo? Taijo was always coming to my room. He's been loyal from the beginning. We used to come back. What happened to Taijo? Is there something I'm missing? I remember guesting with him. That was pretty fun. So what do you mean come back? Where did Taijo go? Misunderstanding. Nexus, if you ever want to talk about whatever the hell happened to you, or if it has something to do with whatever, you go ahead. But if you don't feel like it, fine. But I have no idea what you're talking about until you feel ready to tell me. We'll just leave it be. Um, Interesting. I think I guessed with Taiju a couple days ago, and he's always come to my broadcast. But I've been changing the different times because I want to come on earlier. But he's always shown up. Even when I went to the airport, he's the only one that showed up. When I was sitting there broadcasting from the airport. I hope he's all right. That guy worries me. I mean, he drinks like a fish, and he knows it. Talk about a conversation from last time. Yeah, that's why I came on because I was going to try and finish it up last night, and I just had a bunch of weird stuff going when I tried to go to the movies, and it just took up my whole night. That's cool. I mean, it's not even 11 o'clock yet, so I'll probably be on for a while. It's just once it gets past 1 a.m., depending on how I feel, 1 a.m. is not that midnight. Obviously, isn't late to me, but 1 a.m. isn't that late. But what happens once I get past that 2 a.m. range? Then at some point between 2 and 3, my brain will lock in and I'll get stuck, and I just don't like to sleep. And that one, I like sleeping all day, not at nighttime. And it's just a weird lock in. And if my energy shifts and I lock into it, um, I don't want to be up to 5 a.m. Even though I don't have to be up before 11. That's still 6 hours of sleep, and each hour after 5, it gets really uncomfortable for me. I like to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep. I can survive on 6, but I don't want to see just how little I can do. I don't want to try 5 hours to see if I can survive on 3 hours. I don't really want to do it. I'm not a youngin' anymore. I'm an old man, to be honest with you. I'm looking around for my cough drops in case my breathing gets in trouble. 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night. I guess when you're younger, it's like something that you probably regret not sleeping and all that, but you find ways to get around it and all that. But you don't realize how much you're burning your energies out and the kind of habits you're putting yourself into. And you'll be fine until you're 25 or so. Oh, good. I'm glad you're real. I mean, not good you're killing yourself, but it's good that you're realizing it because I don't want to, if you form your habits when you haven't even turned 18 yet, um, and you just try and go further and further with giving up sleep or any type of addiction with sugar or alcohol or cigarettes or whatever. There's habits you form when you're really young. If you just keep into it and just figure, by the time you hit your 20s, you just want to show how far you can go. Yeah, I said a trigger word. I'm just saying, alcohol, cigarettes, losing sleep, um, anything you start out when you're 16, 17, whatever. Sometimes you'll walk into it in your 20s and just try and see how far you can push yourself, and think that you're some sort of god if you can get away with it. Um, but then by the time you're 30, then you find out what locked in means. Then it just gets out of control and you don't even know how to stop. I mean, do you like put sugar in your makeup? Do you like have like flavored lipstick so you can get the sugar while you put your makeup on? How addicted to sugar makeup are you? Do you have like coconut in your eyeliner? Okay, good. Okay, so we don't take it that far. 40 minutes. All right, Nexus. I can handle that. It's not even 11 o'clock yet. I'm sure I'll be on at least till midnight. I like it when I get into the conversation about metaphysics or philosophy or spirituality because people have a lot of assumptions, and I like just questioning and tearing apart all the assumptions. Too lazy to cover up your acne. I mean, makeup, like to an extent of covering things up, especially as you get older and you try and cover up your age. I think makeup ages you and causes all kinds of problems when you use a lot of it. I think makeup should, for young girls to women, should just use it as decoration. Try and get as natural as you possibly can. Um, it's like picking out a shirt and with a design on it. You don't want the shirt screaming so loud that nobody even sees you. But makeup can actually destroy your skin and age you. And if you wear a lot of it and it ages you, as you get older, from 20 to 30, you start to look older because you use so much makeup and you add problems with alcohol and cigarettes and stuff that also ages you. Then you put on more makeup and that ages you more, and then you get depressed because you feel like you look too old, and so you drink more, and then you have anxiety, so you smoke more. And by the time people do that stuff to themselves, by the time they hit 40, they look like they're 60 something. I mean, you don't need an extremely rigorous skincare regime if you just be light on the makeup and try and eat other food besides sugar. Trying to eat a little bit more nutrition and just keep your stress levels down, meditate a little bit, get sleep. If you do those kinds of things, you don't really need an extreme rigorous skincare. I mean, part of skincare is nutrition, so backing off the sugar, getting in your essential fatty acids, like from flaxseed and stuff, can help your skin a lot. All right, see, yeah, I didn't think you wore a lot of makeup. It's just you talk about it enough that I thought, wow, does she just sit there and cover her face when I'm not talking to her? Is she like trying to compete with the clowns at the circus? And how much can I put on? But I never seen you like overdo it like that. It just you seem fascinated with it, and a lot of young women get so fascinated with it they can't imagine that they're just beautiful as they are. And again, I went into people's podcasts thinking they're in their 20s and they were complaining that they didn't look good without makeup, and they'd come in and be bold to not wear it. I said, yeah, don't wear the makeup. You look beautiful naturally. Now, if I knew that some of them were like 16 and 17, I would have like chilled on overdoing it and seen how beautiful they were. Whatever. It takes too much time, and what's the point? I mean, the only reason people wear it is, you know, marketing plays on your insecurities and just tries to make you feel like that you're not beautiful by yourself, and that's just ridiculous because it focuses you on the physical anyway. Even if you're not the most physically attractive person on earth, it doesn't mean you're not a beautiful person. Yeah, I mean that's when makeup is like a thing to change and just kind of express yourself a little bit. And for me, that makes it an art, and that's why I like to watch Face Off and stuff like that because um, Now, on Face Off, you have to use all kinds of makeup because you're trying to make someone human look like they're an alien or something. But in real life, um, I respect women more who use as little makeup as possible and are able to achieve great effect, and accentuate what beauty they already have using just practically no makeup. To me, that's impressive, um, compared to women that just know how to use makeup and they just cover their entire face, and it's like a mask, and God knows what you're waking up to if you got involved with a woman, who wears that much makeup the next morning. You don't even know who you're laying next to because she doesn't have it on anymore. But I mean, that's just my view because it's just everything's about money, and people just try and get people so into it, and they buy skin cream and anti-aging cream, and it gets ridiculous. And I remember working at different health stores and convenience stores, and people were buying de-agifying cream, and they were paying like $50 for something because it had grapeseed oil, and I'm like, just eat some fucking grapes. And I know you like grapes, so if grapes are really that good for you, then eat them. You don't need to pay $50 for stuff and rub it on your skin. Just eat the damn grapes. To me, nutrition is something you eat. Yeah, Zoe, you know what you're doing. I trust. You're like an actress and a writer, and you know what makeup is. I just give you my viewpoint, which I don't think is a lot different than yours. Keep reaching for my water because I keep forgetting where I put it. There it is. I had to move it away from this lamp. I could make a bruise out of makeup. I know, Zoe, you're the bullet wounds. Yeah, see, you're into that type. You're into the same stuff I like. That you're like into Face Off. I mean, to me, it is exciting. The more realistic you can make something, that's interesting to me. That you can create effects like that. That's why I love that show. It's like one of my favorite shows there is. Although I wish they would do. I don't know. Maybe they had a season that was more like. I wish they would do things where they're trying to create things for like regular shows. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to look at wounds and stuff that much, but just they do the aging thing now. Yeah, age makeup, wrinkles. Yeah, I'm not into the gore and all that crap, but I understand the necessity of it for specific types of shows. I mean, I don't watch shows that put me into the same level of intensity of drama of life that I'm trying to avoid. I don't want to wake up hearing ambulances or fire or police alarms, police pulling over and gunshots. That's the type of stuff I avoid. That I do my everything I can to like not live in areas like that, and not walk in areas like that, and just try and keep that out of my life. I know it exists, and there's no way to avoid it 100%, but I go out of my way to avoid it. So I don't like watching certain shows like that for every week or hours at a time or whatever. I get into certain shows that use the brain and they're trying to solve things and their intellects are battling each other. And I can tolerate a certain level of violence if I'm watching something that interesting with interesting characters and stuff. Um, but something that's just like Bones is really a weird show for me because it gets way too graphic for me half the time. But a lot of episodes I've watched don't seem to make the whole show about that. They make it very interesting. Favorite makeup thing I did was make a smile cut on my neck that was bloody. It looked like a huge monster mouth on my neck. It's pretty cool. I'll have to like guest you and let you do some effects like you do like that. See what kind of things you can achieve. We could have like a face off in my broadcast. Like have guest you and guest see if there's some other people who might have similar type of skill and like have judges and like do a contest on it. It could be interesting. I don't think I took my allergy pills today, or I only took one. Bruise wheels all gruesome. I need a new one. So Zoe, what do you think? Should we like get a plan together and do like a face off? I mean, I'm not really going for gore. That's like not my favorite thing. When I watch Face Off, most of the time they try to come up with novel ideas. They try and create like something you would see in a Star Wars movie or something. Um, they come with some very interesting ideas. Some of the ideas are just not that thrilling to me, but then the artists still do something good with it, and it's usually not all gore based. I'm not. I don't have. I have a lot of people that don't like it. That I'm not into horror movies. I'm not into gore. I'm not trying to be into vampires. I'm just trying to see how dark I can go, and I'm not fascinated with the occult and the evil, and just trying to make people feel weird. I don't. Not into Ouija boards. You know, a lot of people don't like that about me, but to me, it's not all a joke, and it's not always entertaining to me. I rarely even watch a horror movie because of that. People seem way too fascinated to me with this kind of stuff, and they don't seem to get the level of reality that they're dealing with here. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Zoe. I know that you have talent and skill. I haven't seen demonstrations yet, but I 100% trust it. I 100% trust that you could show us some interesting stuff. And, you watch Face Off, and it's interesting, but it's just a show. Whereas if I could get someone like yourself who has these skills and we could broadcast it live, that could be interesting. Anyway, it's just an idea. I don't know if there's anybody else in YouNow who'd like to do a Face Off with you. That'd be interesting too. Let me know what you think about it. Staring at the few cough drops on my floor. Wishing I had more cough drops. Ty Joe, you're alive. We were just worrying about you. I mean, talking about you. I mean, wondering about you. I'm having cravings for chips, but they're veggie chips, so they won't kill me quickly. I got Zoe and Ty Joe in the house at the same time. It's going to be pretty fun right there. I would have to get cravings. These are too loud. I can eat on my broadcast. My fans aren't bothered by it that much, but these are so damn loud. It's like, my God. I have to put them down and get rid of them. That sucks. Not because they're way too loud. Now I want them more because I know I can't be eating them on my broadcast. They're so loud it actually hurts my ears. Now I'm starving. Guess what? Tell me what? Do I look manic? Ty just says I look manic. Well, I'm glad you're happy. Did I miss something? Are you like crushing on Zoe, Ty Joe? I think I'm missing a lot of what's going on right here. You actually wrote a script and you're finally producing it. Kick ass. You should be happy. I've been waiting to hear something like that. Oh, that cough that was fucked out. Let's look for another one. So how are we going to get to see this then? I'm going to have to get my real cough drops because these should have been thrown away that I'm finding. Let's see if I can get these breathing things going. It's more of a joke. For some reason, I feel like I know Zoe. I mean, Zoe knows you, as far as I can tell. She's wondering where you were, so you must know her. I don't know, but the moment I start eating the chips, I was just like, I was getting craving for it, and the more loud they were, the more I realized, oh, I can't be eating this on my broadcast. It's like I'm shooting firecrackers off. That made me want to eat them more. When you can't do something, that's when you really want it. We are aggressive here on this broadcast. I'm going to try these allergy pills and see how quickly they work. Probably take at least an hour. Let's do a group hug. Everybody, like, come in on the group hug, right? You got it, Taijo? Zoe? Who else is still in here with me? Princess? I hope. I'm not sure everybody in here. Not everybody's posting. Princess is still in here. Nexus? Wait, it's only showing 5 people, but it says I have 9 people. Which is it? 5 or 9? "45 minutes and no likes. Nobody likes me. No likes. I mean, I've been really chilling for 45 minutes. I didn't even know it was 45 minutes. I feel like I only been broadcasting for like 20 minutes. Zoe says she got a free spin now. So I'll get something going, right? I'm sure Zoe wouldn't mention this. She didn't want to give me the free spin. I got a lot of likes last broadcast. I think I was at 2,000 likes or something, thanks to Truth Crab. 20 hours. Or you could just give me a free spin next time I broadcast instead of making me broadcast for 20 hours. Damn, this thing's hot. Just broadcast for 20 hours. No problem. It's not like I have to eat or sleep or go to the bathroom or anything. Let's not fool ourselves and convince people I'm human or anything. It's just something I am very good at pretending to be. Yep, North Carolina, that's the current plan. I just signed a lease. So, yep. 20-hour broadcast will be lit. Yeah. I don't do cocaine or crack. So I don't know about being lit for 20 hours. Her show would be lit. Oh, yeah, okay, that makes more sense. So this could be like live on stage, or how are you doing this, Zoe? You said we should come. How are we going to see your show? Stage production. Where's the stage production going to be? Stupid light is annoying me. Maryland. Okay, that's not far. I got family there. So now we know where it is. When is it going to be? Oh, you know Zoe knows all about absurdity, sure. You can bet there's going to be some humor and something strange going on in there. So sometime in November. Our town. That is a very interesting. I'm not saying it's not well done or I didn't like it when I saw it, but I was bothered by a lot of it because it seemed too preachy and religious to me. I understand the positive parts about it, but I think when I saw it, I was in my super atheist mode, and it just seemed like, people falling. I don't know. I don't think they mentioned religion that much. It just made me feel like everything was decided for you. I don't know. I'll have to read it or watch it or see why I got such a negative attitude towards our town. I think that's the play I saw that bothered me. And absurdity. So I knew Zoe does stuff like that. Manhattan Projects, Alice in Wonderland. Wait a second. Is that the show you're doing? Like you're gonna do that, right? That's the show you're talking about. You're gonna do the Manhattan Project mixed with Alice in Wonderland, or you already did that? Damn, Zoe. Did you video it? Can we see it on YouTube? Sounds quite interesting. Almanac of Broken Days. Interesting. Do you have pictures from it? Is it on your Instagram? Wait, you have Instagram, don't you, Zoe? I'm pretty sure you have it. It's Twitter you don't have for some reason. I keep having to adjust that light. It's becoming more obsessive than the chips I'm eating. Instagram at Zoe Topkins. Am I following you on Instagram? I should be. It's not letting me do anything on this thing. Why am I following you? What the hell? Let me go to my webpage so I can get to your webpage. Are you following my Instagram? I was posting a bunch of stuff on it, and I just couldn't figure out what it was for, and I just gave up after a while. Okay. Let's see, fans. I really need to work on this website. I didn't link you. I put you as my #1 fan, and I didn't put a link to your page. What's wrong with me? Everybody else is linked. That's hilarious. I just don't pay attention to details. I don't notice stuff until I try and find it. I think I remember when I first put it up, for some reason I didn't do it. Because I was trying to decide whether I was going to link everybody's page or put their own profile page up. Let's see. Now it's going to try and make me enter my own broadcast when I don't. That's not my point. No, don't be. Yeah, just browsing. There we go. Because I might want to use this to search, right? YouNow, just let me search. I go to stuff until I try to find it. I think we're. See if I can get off my own broadcast. No, will it let me? It doesn't like me doing this, I'll tell you that much. Oh, maybe I shouldn't be putting Zoe, I should be putting Z Lovely. That's why I'm not finding it. Is it like a dash? And it certainly doesn't want to cooperate. Well, that's frustrating. Is it? Did I find it? Come on, YouNow, cooperate with me. Alright, so there's your page. Now, shouldn't it give me your Instagram and all that? I thought it would. YouNow can give me a headache sometimes. I give up. I'll figure it out later. Your notes, if you put it in the chat, I have no way of copying it, so probably the best way is to put it on my wall, and I guess I better get my message board up soon on my webpage to make this a lot easier for people. So what are we talking about tonight? Yeah, I need to update my website, I know that. Yeah, put it on the wall. I need a better system now. The wall is really not the best system for trying to get stuff straight. I need a message board or something. Gum makes your stomach hurt. There must be, you know what it could be, Zoe? A lot of the gum that's sugar-free has xylitol and certain other things, and it can like tear up your stomach. For some people, it'll like make them have to use the restroom a lot. It's like a laxative, It'll make your stomach hurt. You're talking about chewing gum. A lot of gum has it's sugar free, so they have different alcohol sugars in it, like xylitol, I think is the name of one of them, the main ones, and that'll tear you up if you chew a lot of it. I used to have any problem eating anything with that, with xylitol or alcohol sugars or whatever they are. It used to bother me a lot. Produced at a retirement home and also at your high school. Zoe's like super creative. I wish I could see something you've done, like a full production. I have no format for my site for this broadcast yet. I'm just slowly starting to get back into doing it. Taija, I taught you how to fly. You just have to move your arms in a certain way. Or you meant by playing. I got you. Oh, if you have it videotaped, then there's a way for us to see it, right? Funny. Looks are on everything. Or are you talking about sense of humor? Or lack of it? Yeah, that would be really cool. Because, I mean, I know you do a lot of stuff. And I get curious because you're so creative. Because I want to encourage art and music and any type of creativity. But I've never seen anything you've done. Is this headset charged? That's what I'm staring at as I got a new headset. And I'm trying to see if it's charged. And I guess it is because it had a red light on it. Now I don't see the red light. Still not using it yet. It's new. We'll find out if it works later, I guess. Yeah, I know. That's. I'm trying to figure out better ways to communicate. That's why I want to have a message board or something. Are you serious, Taijo? Did you really do shrooms? I never knew when you're messing with me. I knew. I think I've seen your shrooms though. But which type of mushrooms did you take? Yeah, YouNow is not the way to go. I mean, you got Instagram, I have Twitter. You don't. I guess you have a YouTube channel. I think you do. Psilocybin. Yeah, psilocybin is the deal, man. So, yeah, is it the same type of mushrooms that Ty just talking about, though? Who's your neighbor's a witch? I'm so thirsty now. Because my water just ran out. So now I need more water. Let's see who is live. Okay. I need some water. I'm like suffocating from lack of water. Proves that this proves that to be true. There's a lot of Wiccans. The thing is, Wiccan and pagan, you never know, like, to what level they're herbalists or shamans or just trying to celebrate their femininity, like with the goddess worship or whatever, or if they're like really into some of the dark arts or occult, or it can go so many different ways. Ugh, I love the cold water, but it was hurting my throat for some reason. you can call it hallucinating. The thing is, when you call it hallucinating, you're not really opening yourself to a spiritual experience because you're like saying, hey, this is delusional. You know, to some level, you're experiencing another level of reality. Um, and you can have visions. And, I've had dreams that were like prophetic, like where I've seen the future and stuff like that. And with mushrooms, you know, you could see everything in waves, and people used to assume that there's no reality to it, but now with quantum physics, we know that everything is made of waves. So is it really hallucinating if you're seeing something that we pretty much confirm with science is part of how reality is? The church got a new pastor and almost made me believe in a God for a moment. Isn't that weird? It is weird. It's the thing is the thing I find weird about it is because I'm like the opposite of most people. Well, most people I talk to, they find it weird that I don't think God is a person. When I tell them God's not a person, they freak out like I told them Pepsi isn't soda. They act like I'm telling them I don't believe in gravity or something. Thank you for inviting fans, Princess. Green Christmas time wrapping paper and insignia you couldn't make out. So you actually had a vision of some sort of symbol. Too bad you couldn't have drawn it or written it down or something so we could figure out what it was. The church always fails with me because they're going to paint what I want to hear, follow Jesus and God is love and blah, blah, blah. But then if they're going to be honest about how the God of the Bible is, they're going to start talking about jealous and angry and, tell people to fear and, you better obey and be good slaves. And I know they try and hide it and try and act like that's not what they said, but I've read the book enough to know what it is, and I know what they're saying no matter how much they try and twist it positively or negatively or whatever. It looked like it was looking at a compilation of photos. Interesting. Did you write this all down, Taijo? I hope you wrote this all down. Because this is something we could really get into. Nexus is back. Just in time, too. Because Taijo was telling us about a mushroom experience that he had. Pastor literally outright said, your pastor said she didn't understand how a forgiving God can allow hell. That's awesome. It's just the thing is it's amazing to ever see a Christian snap out of it. Like, heaven forbid that I use that term, right? That a Christian should actually look at the book and go, you know what? I've had experiences of something that I would call God, but this stupid book is talking some ridiculous crap. What is beeping at me? Something beeped? Why did my laptop beep like I had some important message? What is going on? I don't see any message. Yeah, it's just, I used to tell Christians that were really spiritual, they would be like, you're too smart to be an atheist or whatever. I'm like, well, you seem too smart to be a Christian to me. It's just, you seem to question things that, hell, is such a stupid idea. Why does things keep beeping? What is going on? Oh, is this YouNow telling me that's annoying. I don't want YouNow constantly not only telling me every single person that broadcasts, but beeping like I got some important message I got to pay attention to. I'm going to have to shut that off. Yeah, Taijo, I don't want to sell mushrooms like they can cure depression. I had a very specific block against nature, not trusting nature, not trusting anything of nature. And so mushrooms was part of it. Calling up my spirit animal was part of it. It was a whole path that I went down. I wouldn't want to like push people. Hey, if you have any problems, just eat a mushroom. And my gosh, if I could prove that you could just do one simple thing to cure depression or alcoholism or something like that. And I could just say, yeah, if you eat this mushroom 3 times a day on a Tuesday during the blah, 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 and if you're an alcoholic or have a heroin addiction or something, you just got to follow these instructions and it would cure you. If I could do that and scientifically prove it, I mean, I'd win the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, I went down a whole spiritual path. Maybe I've talked too much about the mushrooms to the level that I led you or other people to think that it can just solve everything. I know, Nexus. It's just the whole punishment idea is stupid anyway. And then most Christians will cringe when I back them to the corner and say, a lot of Christians will preach to me that we have to have Christianity because that's what justice is. They keep going on about justice, justice, justice. If there's no God, if the Bible's not true, what about justice? And I'm like, well, what kind of justice system gives you the same punishment regardless of what your crime is? Can you imagine a judge? You go into the courtroom and you're like, yeah, this guy murdered and raped some women. And then another person comes in the courtroom and they say, yeah, this little 5-year-old stole a piece of chewing gum and doesn't even know what they did. And the judge says, electric chair, for each case, no matter what the crime was. Because from my understanding, every wage of sin is hell, and every sin, it doesn't matter whether you stole a piece of chewing gum or you killed 1,000 people, it's all the same punishment, hell. And then there's people who haven't even done anything wrong. They go around helping people, loving people, feeding people, and they haven't even done anything to hurt anybody. But they don't believe the Bible. So just for their lack of belief, just because they don't believe Jesus, it doesn't matter how good their heart is or what a good person they are. They're supposed to go to hell because they don't believe Jesus died for their sins. They don't believe what they're supposed to believe. And then when I point that out, a Christian goes, well, why should you get to go to heaven just for your actions? Like, you think you can buy your way in? Like, you help a lady across the street or give someone some food and that all might can get you into heaven for your actions? I was like, no. I just think that if you spend your entire life trying to help people from your heart and you're not trying to buy your way into anything and you never hurt anybody, but you happen to be a Jewish or an atheist or a Buddhist, you happen to not be Christian, that it's ridiculous that person goes to the same hell that a murderer, rapist would go to. Same punishment. And of course, if you're 5-year-old and steals a piece of chewing gum and you die before you accept Jesus, you go to hell too. It gets ridiculous. And not only do you go there, but according to Christianity, you go there forever and ever, regardless of what your crime is. I mean, you call that justice? What kind of weird, fucked up definition of justice do you have if you call that justice? Good people that do not believe in Jesus. Exactly. That's my point. Is a Buddhist or Jewish person or even an atheist that you know for a fact, you know them all your life and dedicate their life to just helping people, and they're not doing it to win anything. They're not doing it for people to like them. They don't even brag about it or show no pride in it. Don't expect to get anything from it. Don't expect to go to heaven for it even. They just like helping people. It feels good to spread love, and they those people, though, if they're not Christian, if they don't believe Jesus died for this, it just gets ridiculously absurd. I think that's what's going to kill Christianity. It's like, no matter, they have 1,000 arguments, that God exists or the Bible should be true or whatever, but the whole ridiculous justice system they have and their whole thing about what they think is moral just gets really absurd. And if you murder somebody in cold blood, and at any point you feel enough guilt that you beg God for forgiveness, as long as you convert to Christianity, if you do it being a Jewish person, forget it. As long as you believe in Jesus, you're in. But if you're a woman and you're attracted to another woman and you love her, like, it's not just about that sex or you're horny or whatever, but you actually fall in love with her and decide to spend your life with her, which includes having sex with her, you're going to hell because, I don't know, it gets so damn absurd. Yeah, exactly. Christianity is just going to be killed by just people being educated. And the irony of the whole thing is from what I know about Jesus's teachings, um, if Christianity completely died out, um, I don't think Jesus would be bothered by it. I think he'd be relieved. I don't think Christianity and Jesus have anything to do with each other. That's the most absurd part of the whole thing. And we all sit in heaven, just adoring, just giving praise. That's another ridiculous part of it. If you read the Bible cover to cover, and I don't know if I guess the Jewish religion is similar with this whole God needs to be praised and told how great he is all the time. I mean, my gosh, I mean, I've not met many human beings with that kind of ego that need to constantly be told how good they are and how great they are. It's just, I mean, wishful thinking. I don't even wish for that. I've had experiences, spiritual experiences of meditating, connecting to the universe, and feeling that there's something deeper going on that I call God. Um, and as far as I'm concerned, my experiences are real and point to something that's really going on that I think I could call God. But nothing religion ever taught me is anything that I would feel like that. You know what I mean? It's not something I'd miss. My experience that I call God is nothing to do with what these religious people talk about. I didn't experience some jealous, angry person, who wants to have a conversation with me and demands I believe certain things and floods the earth to kill everybody. I mean, Noah's Ark. I mean, the whole thing. Just where do you start with the absurdity? Just where do you start? Thank you for sending my friends in hell. Ego death. So I mean, you have to understand what the ego is, and it's very hard because trying to define what the ego is kind of like an ego task. So if I sit there and say, "Well, this is your ego, that's your ego," the more I try and explain it to you, the more I just start to become my ego because I get fascinated with the whole concept, the whole idea of what the ego is. And there was in the beginning of my practice of Buddhism, um, we used to get so me and my cousin would work on it, and we get so attached to what the ego was that it was some kind of enemy we had to kill, and we just made it like an actual physical thing. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. We're gonna kill it. Um, and then it just became ridiculous. But I mean, it's just we're attached to our thoughts and our thinking and our behavior, and we keep mistaking our beliefs, which is why I don't like beliefs, and thought processes. We just get caught up in loops and systems and patterns, and we think that's who we are. You know, what's your favorite ice cream? Because that's who you are. What's your name? Because it's who you are. If somebody called you a different name, if your name's my name's Brian spelled with an I. So if you spell it with a Y, my ego gets all offended, and it's ridiculous. Sure, I have the preference for I. I'm an artist. I'm poetic. I like some colors in a painting better than other colors, but it's all preferences and stuff. It's not that I can't appreciate other art. Um, if it came between enlightenment and just accepting to change my name with a Y instead of I wouldn't give up enlightenment because I like the I better. Part of my ego is rebelling right now. Yeah, no, I don't want the Y. You know, it's amusing that even after practicing meditation and achieving certain levels of enlightenment, that I still even have enough ego to jump just at something simple as changing the name BRIN to BRYAN. That you get so attached to thinking I am this. It's ridiculous. It's just absurd when you think about it. When where all my friends they went somewhere else. I mean, from my studies of religion, I just stopped believing any of it. And I don't think I ever really believed any of it. I don't like beliefs, as I said. I want experience. I want to directly experience something. And when I heard about reincarnation, it sparked some memory in me. And I rebelled against the idea because it would seem like a religious idea. Um, so I had to have some direct experiences before I started to think that reincarnation may be more the most reasonable explanation for what happens after death. Um, and there's no heaven and hell with reincarnation, which is why religion hates it so much. If I can't threaten you with hell, how do I control you? All right, so where were we, Nexus? Yeah, Christians get highly offended if I start talking about reincarnation. They rather me preach Satanism to someone than reincarnation. Do I get paranoid in psychedelics? I think um, I think that marijuana is one of those things where um, if you put me in a position like where I'm outside and certain things that I don't like, certain criminal elements or how police will react and how they look for people on the streets acting stupid, um, where you become sensitive to that thing, and then you smoke some marijuana, and so you might feel paranoid. You might be, extra sensitive to things. Um, I don't know if that's paranoia because you're just being self-protective. Um, so I haven't had specific problems with psychedelics themselves, although I guess I have once in a while. But I've had issues where my energies weren't aligned right, and I had to deal with paranoia, um, and I had to do serious meditation to get past it. And it wasn't caused by drugs. It wasn't caused by any type of drug or psychedelic. It was just my ego and too much sensitivity and messing with the wrong energies, and I just had to learn certain things. I think certain psychedelics can enhance anything. If you have that problem, it's not that the psychedelics making you paranoid; it's that that's a part of the energy that you need to work on. No ego. Interesting. I mean, to say that you have no ego could be an ego trick. I mean, I kill my ego 1,000 times, but I see it pop up every once in a while. It's not about getting rid of the ego. It's like losing attachment to it and not identifying with it, so it can't control you. And if you're constantly trying to kill it, then you're so obsessed with the ego that you're just as controlled by it by constantly trying to kill it as you would if you just find a way to detach from it, just find out what it is, and try to realize who you really are, and pay attention to that. I had to meditate for 3 years, and then I received transmission from my master in like 2005, or my teacher, not my master, but I've achieved a level where I go through hours, if not, I can go through a whole day if I want to. Sometimes where I have no thought in my mind. There's no thoughts. And the only reason I found it strange was because I joke about it with people who were obsessing with their thoughts, and I was trying to explain what meditation was, and I tried to get them to detach and not think that I am my thoughts. And I got in arguments with people who thought they were their thoughts. And so I would slip and say, well, I have no thoughts in my head right now. There's no thinking. There's no thoughts at all. If I stopped speaking, all there would be is silence in my head. Um, and everything I'm saying is just coming from me with no thoughts, premeditating it. A lot of people find it very hard to believe, but I mean, I'm just telling you the truth, what I experienced, what I've been capable of achieving. It's pretty hard for the ego to live in a vacuum like that. If there's no thoughts and there's no emotions pushing the thoughts around or thoughts generating emotion and there's no feedback loop, then what's the ego have to feed on? God dang you now. You gotta quit beeping at me. I'm gonna have to turn the volume off of this thing for a minute. It's like annoying the shit out of me. There's the ego right there. No matter how much I have no ego, it's right there when it wants to be. I shouldn't be bothered by it, but it's just a constant beeping. It just annoys me. It just distracts me. Bianca says, call, call. So apparently we have like a crow in the room. That's why I think our ego, who's influenced by something we can't explain. Go into detail with that, Nexus. Expand on that thought, on the point that you're trying to make. I'm not going to even guess at the exact meaning of what you're saying. You need to kind of expand when you say that the ego is influenced by something we can't explain. I could go into detail on what I think that is, but I'm curious what your perspective is. Yes, how would you know? Hey, sir, have you been exercising recently? Am I acting, how would you know that? Am I acting differently? Have I mentioned it in my broadcast? I'm curious where that question is coming from. Because the answer is yes, but how do you know that? My cat is sniffing me and I think she's going to pee to mark her territory. That's how cats are. Thank you for inviting your fans. Oh, thank you. Okay, I mean, I've been feeling a little bit more energy because I was just determined, to get in shape. Um, I should do it for myself. Just 100% should be to get myself healthier so I could be physically healthier and feel better so that meditating and things like that are easier to do because I let myself get way out of shape. But I started it to be healthier because I had concern for myself more because I felt like I was being involved in a possible relationship and I felt guilty and being stupid for not taking care of myself. And I was kind of doing it for someone else, even though I am doing it for myself. I wasn't motivated, and suddenly I got motivated. And then, even not being in a relationship, I realized if I ever want to be in one, which I don't know, um, then not being healthy doesn't really attract the right kind of energy. So yeah, I used to bodybuild, and now I can't do it to the level where, I used to be able to bench 180 pounds, but I hurt my back. So now I have to be very, very cautious. But I just, you know, when I was able to bench 180, I could feel my muscle. This is rock, and my arms were bigger. Of course, you want that back. Nobody wants to give up their youth, but now I just want to be able to lift things and just have some definition to my arms. So I've been walking some more, I lost 5 pounds when I was on my vacation in Colorado. I was running and I wasn't out of breath usually I get out of breath if I run at all. And I was much more active. I just like the weather better. I walked a lot there. I ran a little bit. Um, I just felt better, and somehow I lost about 5 pounds there. I wasn't eating as much junk because I wasn't focused on that. So you gotta change your diet a little bit, which I've been trying to do. Um, I don't think bodybuilding makes you shorter. I'm not sure where you're going with that, Joe. I was already short, and I was already, from age 16 to age 19, I was 5'4", less than 120 pounds. 5'4" and 120 is the perfect body for an anorexic girl. It's not something that, as you get into your 20s, it's not something that women are attracted to. Like, oh yeah, the shorter the better, the skinnier the better. His arms look like toothpicks. That's so attractive. It's not something that people like make you feel good about. And so that's why I got into bodybuilding. Problem is by the time I was 20, when I was benching 180, it became my life and I was obsessed with it. And then suddenly I hurt my back and I couldn't do it. So now I got to start all over. And the cardiovascular, that's what I got to get into and learn because I have breathing problems, I got cholesterol problems, and that's the main thing. My ego is like, yeah, build the arms up, get the legs, get strong, look better, get your shoulders back, get your chest back if you can. But really, it's about the health. So I got to really learn about cardiovascular and how to do that. And it's not going to be enjoyable in the beginning because it's going to be a fight. Um, but I know I'll feel better if I can pull this off. I'm so out of shape that I got these, and I'm just starting to teach myself how to use it again. And for me, it's not heavy, but I still do have my bad back and to be really careful how I do this. And it's only 15 pounds. And because I'm so out of shape, it feels like it's 30 pounds. So I have to keep working on it until it feels like it's 5 pounds. And then I'll get bigger weights. And there's going to be a limit. Um, I wasn't supposed to lift. When I first hurt my back, I was told never to lift more than 50 pounds. Um, and I'm going to try and find out what the limit is without actually hurting my back. So I don't know if I'm going to go past lifting with each arm 40 pounds each. What I'm gonna once I reach 40 pounds where it doesn't where I don't feel it anymore. I don't know where I'm gonna go from there because before I hurt my back, that's when I start trying to bench 100 pounds and then 150 and then 180, and I can't go there again. I don't think so. I have to really. I actually lost more than 5 pounds, like 6 or 7 pounds, and my pants don't fit anymore. And I thought it was just one pair of pants because they were loose, blah blah blah. And I tried on all the other pants, and I kept putting my belt on, and my pants kept slipping. And I was just like, "Oh my god, do I have to buy all new clothes?" And I was like, "I must have lost at least 5 pounds if I had to buy different clothes." That was one of my stupidest excuses too. It was like, who wants to lose weight because then you have to throw all your clothes away and buy new clothes. How expensive is that? And that's the dumbest. So you're gonna let yourself die because you don't want to have to buy new clothes. I mean that. Now I think about it, it's got to be like one of the dumbest excuses to not get in shape. Yeah, I know the TSA had to pat me down, Ty Joe. It's not like you saw it. I just told you about it. Losing weight is easy. Well, uh, okay. So, I mean, when I was 16, like to 19, when I was trying to bodybuild, like I said, all the way up to 15, I was like 90 pounds. So, that was what they called the 90-pound weakling, which is why I got such a complex about being short and small. And, how women would treat me because of that. And sorry, I shouldn't have the complex, but you can only take so much abuse before it gets in your head. Um, it's probably what pushed me to bodybuild. Um, and gaining weight was hard because I was trying to gain muscle weight, and I had to eat double and triple what I would normally eat, and I had to get protein powder. And no matter what I did, even when I got to the max, when I was benching almost 200 pounds, um, I think I went from 120 to 135 or 140. I don't think I even gained 20 pounds. Um, I may have gained 15 pounds, but that was 15 pounds of muscle. I don't know. I don't even know how I did it, to be honest with you. The less you weigh, the harder I would think it would be to bench something. Um, I was over 160. Now I'm at 153 or 154. So I know I lost about 6 pounds. No, I was like 160, and I was crossing the line. I don't know how far it went. I know I got up to 160. I don't know if I ever went to 165, but now I'm closer to 155. So I've lost between 5 and 10 pounds now, which I'm presuming is from the stomach. I don't know where else I would lose it. And I want to lose. I want to get down to. I mean, 120 is what I was, but 130 would be good. To be honest with you, especially if I could build some muscle. I felt a lot better when I was walking miles and bodybuilding and all that stuff. I felt stronger. I felt, you know, definition of ego. 90 pounds? No way, Acer. That's to be looking anorexic again. First of all, muscle weighs more than fat. So if I get my muscle back, um, when I was benching 180, I think I was at least 130 pounds. There's no way you're going to bench 180 pounds if you're only 90. I don't even know how I did it when I was 120, to be honest with you. Because I had no trainer, I had no knowledge of it. It's like I intuitively knew what I was doing at that point until I hurt my back and fucked it all up. And then I couldn't bench nothing to throw away my bench. Yeah, you don't want to see me at 90 again, trust me. Me and Baka think Zoe hates us. Why do you think Zoe hates you? And Nexus. So we're trying to define ego. That's another conversation we're trying to have. Yeah, Zoe, you let them know. They need to know the consequences of their behavior. And I'm not about to tell them. Because, I mean, the problem is I always encourage different types of trolling and humor and all that, but then there's lines to be crossed and boundaries should be tested, but at the same time, you know, there's a level where it's not really benefiting anybody. That's true. If you act explicit, you will receive explicit unwanted attention. He who lives by the sword dies by the sword, and whatever energy you put out is the energy you get back. So I push boundaries. I do it, and I'm constantly starting something and provoking people, but I'm not doing it like I did when I was younger, just for the shock value of it. Where even when I was younger, I didn't think I was doing it for that point, but maybe I was. The older I get, the more, if it's got to be something behind what you're doing. You have to have some positive motivation to do it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of times, you know, I notice people in my room and they're just being strange and funny and interesting and just, they're bored and they're just having fun. So I don't know. Sometimes it's just fun, and sometimes there's lines crossed where it's just, you need to recognize what you're doing. I mean, I've been called weird all my life, but I don't have a problem with the word. Um, it's not a bad word to me. Um, Weird, strange. To me, the words weird and strange is the same as like the word interesting. Curious. I was the first and only person ever blocked by Brian. Why did I block Acer? You must have really like pushed some limits for me to block you. Yeah, it is distracting. Did I guest you, Nexus? Maybe we should like do that. A hobo. Shrek is love. That was a whole. You were saying something about getting with a hobo or something really strange. So I don't think anyone called you a hobo. Zoe, did you call Shrek a hobo? You weren't doing that. Okay, I'll just leave it to you two to work it out because I have no idea what was going on, to be honest with you. So I'm not even going to try. Me and Nexus were discussing what the ego is. I mean, if you go to Freudian psychology, you're going to get ego, superego, and id, and that's not really exactly how Buddhists define it. Although, me and my cousin used to discuss it from the Freudian perspective versus Buddhism, and there's a lot of differences because it's not really 100% important to divide the ego into three things like Freud does to get across what we're trying to do, to like lose attachment to it. Are you actually having a drawn out argument, Zoe and Trek? Is this really happening? Zoe, give Shrek some onions, and Shrek gives Zoe some grapes, and let's just bury the hatchet. Nexus, you're going to jump into it too? Okay, Nexus, you asked what ego is, and now all three of you are demonstrating what ego is. So I don't even need to define it for you, because watching the conversation between Shrek and Zoe is watching the ego in action, and watching you jump into something like that is definitely a perfect definition and example of the ego. No, nothing to do with self-esteem. Self-esteem is a myth. The ego is getting me upset, but are you upset, or is it just your ego being agitated? Because there's a difference between being offended because your pride or other things like that, and actually having your soul hurt. Um, and sometimes the ego and the soul get so intertwined that you, you know, and it's really important to untangle the two, because your soul shouldn't be in pain because somebody insulted your pride or your ego. You need to detach yourself enough so that you know, unless somebody like intentionally deprive you of love energy or make you feel like you're unlovable, unless somebody's really mentally abusing you, like literally just trying to see how much pain they can put you in, Um, you know, your soul shouldn't hurt from ego abuse. The ego is something that you should be able to recover and become stronger from, and realize it's just your ego. I mean, because the whole idea of self is a whole issue of why self-esteem is a myth. Um, so I mean, self-respect. It should be impossible for you not to have respect, because I mean, it comes down to loving who you are. And a lot of psychologists will tell you it's loving yourself. The problem with the word self is, deep down, you might feel the word has to do with your soul, and then half the time it's used for your ego. It's used for, like, if somebody tells you that your hair looks ugly, should that really hurt your soul? Because it's just a physical thing and something you can change. It's not really who you are. Um, somebody, if you cut your hair different and somebody thought your hair looked funny, should your soul hurt from that? Or half the things we can call egos, like pride, where somebody just makes you proud of something and they just hurt your ego, they hurt your pride. Idea of different from ego, I'm getting upset at the idea of situation. Of what situation? You said the situation. I have a nice set of hair. And if I'm going to sit there and enjoy that and just like, wow, people like my hair, and then I'm being attached to my ego, because it's like, what if I go bald? Does that mean I'm not a good person anymore? The patriarchy likes you. What the? And the feminist goes crazy. What? What are you talking about, Zoe? Oh, there's patriarchy. I didn't know there was actually patriarchy in the room. So are there feminists in the room too? Hold on, Nexus. We're getting. I mean, situations come and go. I mean, one of the teachings of Buddhism is impermanence. So whatever situation you're in, um, it's impermanent. Everything changes. So whether you live in a mansion or you're homeless on the street, it can change the next day, the next minute, the next hour. It's constantly changing. And addiction to just avoiding different situations, or trying to keep the same situation never changing, that causes a lot of suffering, because you want everything to be permanent. Everything you enjoy, you want permanent. Everything you don't like, you want to just go away. Let's see. You need to have some sort of self-respect. So I mean, depression is can be caused by psychological reasons, the environment of how your parents treat you, and so on. And you can get attached to your self-esteem and just allow people to bully you and all that. But there's other things going on, because you're allowing people's energies to oppress your energy, and you're forgetting that you even have a soul, or that you are a soul. And so literally people are like deciding for you who you are and what you are. And if you're not going to find out who you are, then you're not going to find out how strong you are. And with self-esteem, it's a good start to stand up for yourself. But you have to really be aware of the energies you're working with, because a lot of times you stand up for yourself, you do it from anger, and anger can help fight depression. But then anger, if you feed anger trying to avoid depression, then you're feeding a monster, and it can literally take over who you are, and it's just as bad as depression is. So I mean, it's the three negative energies is anger, hatred, and fear. And they're basically three aspects of the same energy, and each one feeds into each other. And it's like fire. If you don't, you need for fire, you need fuel, oxygen, and I forgot what the third thing is, a spark or something to combust it or something. It's the same thing. If you take away one of those, then the fire doesn't start. Like you can have fuel and you can start a flame, but if you take away the oxygen, the flame goes out. So to make yourself a better person, you have to realize that deep down inside yourself, you already are that person. And it takes, because you have the ego problems, and we're all in society, we all have to interact with each other, and sometimes there's negative energies and psychological issues and possible abuse issues, bullying. whether from parents or family or people in school or authorities above you. Um, we get very attached to our thinking and our situation, and so we forget, you know, the very fact that you want to be a better person, and deep down inside, whatever love you feel for people or whatever happiness you want to spread, compassion, the desire to help people, to make people have better lives, to spread positive energy, the fact that there are things that you're not doing that deep down inside you would like to do more and more, and just become stronger and better and spread that energy more positive, and that motivates you, that proves that that's who you really are, and you're just trying to get to that. To get to that realization, and to do that, you have to strip away all the things that you think you are to get to that person that you already are. And it's like a light being hidden, and it's covered up by the ego, and you have to let that light shine out. What about learning something new, becoming good at a new hobby? It requires a lot of self-respect. It requires it requires a lot of self-discipline. And as far as confidence in yourself, it's kind of a catch-22, isn't it? Because suppose you want to be good at mountain biking or whitewater rafting or something like that, or even be better relationships with men or women or whatever. Um, Confidence comes from experience, and if you don't have experience, you're not going to have the confidence. So that's why it used to always piss me off, because younger age, going up older age, from teenagehood to adulthood, I've always had women feed me what I felt was kind of bullshit. That they'd go after the guys who are taller than me, more muscular than me, have more money than me, and they would act like they're not shallow anymore. That I'm shallow if I find a woman more attractive because she's healthier or less overweight or something. But they're not shallow when they go after guys who are taller, have more money or whatever. And they would lie to me, in my opinion, by saying, well, they're not attracted to all that. They're not shallow. They're just attracted to confidence. And I was like, well, wait a freaking second. If I woke up tomorrow morning 6 foot tall, built like a Mack truck, I'd have instant confidence. So these people are getting confidence by how they're treated. So it's ridiculous for you to tell somebody that society judges a certain way. Well, just have confidence and it'll fix it. And by the same token, I would say that just deciding you have confidence that you can climb a mountain isn't going to really help you climb that mountain if you don't have any experience doing it. So you actually have to start anything with no confidence. You have to accept your insecurities. You have to climb that mountain with complete fear and insecurity, that you don't know what the hell you're doing if you've never done it before. And by attacking it that way, you're going to get training. You're going to try and do something else first. You're going to try and climb small walls or small rocks. Or you're not going to try and climb a mountain first. And then maybe you'll do some rock climbing. Maybe you'll do some wall climbing. You'll start to gain some confidence. And then you'll try and climb maybe a small mountain. You'll get more confidence. You get the confidence from the experience, in my viewpoint. So it's almost like somebody's like, yeah, you need self-respect. You need to think how great you are and how confident you are and everything. And it's a combination of accepting that we're all worth loving and worth caring about. So having love for yourself, and also be willing to accept that we have flaws and weaknesses, and the only way to become stronger is accept our weaknesses and work on them, and not assume that you already have to be strong to get past that. And some things we call weaknesses aren't even weaknesses. A lot of times people make you feel like if you care about people too much, that makes you weak. If you have too much emotion, you're weak. If you're passionate, you're weak. And basically, you should just be a cold, soulless person, and then you'd be strong. And some people define weakness and strength in a really strange way. And when I was younger, I bought into some of it. Again, that's ego, especially the male ego. Because males are sold that if you cry or show sadness or upsetness, if you allow your emotions to just flow out and just let them be what they are, that there's something wrong with you. Males are trained that way. Sorry, what were you saying, Zoe? I wasn't paying. I'm just kidding. I'm messing with you. Because you said you had a short attention span, so I was going to sit there and play that as a joke for a few minutes. I mean, a lot of people that try and diagnose people with OCD and say that short attention span and all this crap. I mean, on one side, if you have a lot of curiosity, you want to learn a lot of things, and you get bored easily, that's kind of a positive sign, and we paint it as a negative sign. You know, a lot of genius comes from wanting to learn things and being curious and being bored easily. A lot of geniuses think that way. So to sit there and paint it as OCD or some attention span problem, that just allows, schools, a lot of schools that teach people the most boring, repetitive bullshit, and you barely learn anything new, and you can't really go your own way. And the smarter you are, the more bored you get with it. So instead of making it their problem that the education system's fucked up, they make it your problem and say you got OCD or you got ADHD or we got to put you on a drug so that you'll focus on the one thing that we want to teach you. Maybe their education system's fucked up, and then they ignore the fact that we feed our kids like constant sugar and caffeine from the beginning, and it's pretty hard to focus when your brain's full of that garbage. Yeah, a lot of geniuses have a degree of craziness, and there was a big fight among psychology, trying to hide the fact, trying to hide that there's a connection between the two. I understand exercise, just trying to address certain questions, and I guess the questions in the room are kind of jumping around, so I'm jumping around with them. Do we want to focus this conversation on a specific issue? Yeah, I think Zoe does have a possible. She's definitely extremely creative, and it might be on the genius level. I don't want to speak and just assume anything. She seems pretty creative. I've not actually seen everything that she's has done, so I haven't got to see any type of. She does a lot of things, and I haven't got to see a lot of it, so I'm not going to assume one way or the other. But I give her benefit of the doubt. I mean, we use the word genius like it's some special trait that only certain people have. I remember when I was younger, I was studying anthropology, I was studying quantum physics, I was studying philosophy. My vocabulary was above college level, and so on. I was doing horrible in school. But the people who knew me, some of them would accuse me. I'd call it an accusation when they accused me of being a genius. And I was like, "Don't you dare call me a genius!" And they're like, "What's the problem?" I was like, "You're putting way too much responsibility on me." Because what you're basically saying is, if I believe what you're saying, then that means that anything if I don't accomplish something like Einstein, if I don't make a huge change in this world, if I don't get a PhD in something and just literally just make it, you know what I mean? I just felt so pressured by hearing that word. It was a trigger word for me. The word genius was a trigger word. It triggered me. That was like before I even knew the word, before they even used that word. I only heard it trigger recently in the last couple years, really. But I mean, that's when I was attached. I was very attached to my ego. I was very attached to my intellect. I used to read constantly. I had to memorize books. I had to read hundreds of books. Um, Books for my friend. I had to know everything on specific subjects such as anthropology or quantum physics or something. I had to be able to get in PhD level conversations with professors. I had to be able to beat people in arguments, debates. I had to be able to debate five people on five different subjects at the same time. Nothing was good enough for me because I was so physically inadequate in my mind, that's so small, so tiny, that I overcompensate by obsessing with my intellect and trying to just strengthen that. Um, and then I got to the point where it just became ridiculous, and I start meditating, and I start losing attachment to it. I start saying, okay, no matter what I achieve, there's always going to be somebody smarter, somebody who accomplishes more in their field or whatever. If I get a PhD, there's going to be somebody who has three PhDs and so on and so on. If I get in that competition, I'm never going to win. Um, it doesn't matter what level my mind is. Um, the best way to contribute to the world is just to become overall better mentally, spiritually, physically, and just try and set a good example of trying to live a balanced life and not put something like intellect on a pedestal. It was like when I did the bodybuilding, where that became the only thing to me. And then when I couldn't do that, then the before and after that, the brain became the only thing to me. Is just we just focus on like one aspect that we think that we're good at, and It becomes all that is to you. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not that I don't want to learn anything. It's that I've already been through the thing where no matter how much you learn, it's not good enough. I studied like every religion and had it all Bible, Quran, Talmud. I had half of that stuff memorized, especially the Bible, since I argue with Christians a lot. And I just wanted to win. I just wanted to win, and that's all it was. And I had to beat everybody, and I had to destroy Christianity, and it just became ridiculous. It just became absurd. It's like I realized, even if I won an argument 100 times with 100 different people about religion or whatever, it wouldn't matter. I could sit there and back them into a corner, no matter how smart they were. I could sit there and read their own Bible to them. None of it would matter. They'd still come back and go, yeah, but Jesus, blah, 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 Bible. So I could beat the crap out of them mentally, and everybody in the room could say, yeah, you just crushed them. And they still walk away believing what they already believed. They wouldn't change their mind. It depresses you to see me ego death. Why is that depressing? I mean, yeah, if I basically create it where I just lose all interest and passion in the world, and I literally just I want my ego so gone that I just pull out of the world, then that's going away from attachment, where you're always fascinated and attached to everything, to aversion, where you withdraw from the world. So that's also part of the ego trick. That if I become too detached from everything, then I'm just being played by my ego that way too. You don't want to be attached to everything, but you don't want to be detached from everything, because then you're not really living. I think that's comes with age, where it's just like in your mind you've done everything, you don't really need to do anything anymore. But that's why I'm trying to get back into physical shape, so I quit obsessing with the number on my birth certificate. It doesn't matter how old I am. If I can get in shape, I may not be able to bodybuild anymore, but I can get myself healthier, so I can act and feel younger than my birth certificate says I am. All the way up to age 30, I've had people say I look like and behave like I was in my 20s. Um, then once I got past age 30 and started approaching 40, then I still had people say I looked to my young 30s and all that. And then it just got to the point where it's just like, who cares? Who gives a shit? Um, so next is no. I was addressing what I think Acer was like saying, that he's depressed by my ego death, and I was trying to address that. So next is, where were we? I think some of the things that I've discussed with Acer should shed some light on some of your questions about the ego. I mean, it's easier to define what the ego is not than it is to define what it is. The ego is not your soul. It's not who you are. It's something you have, and we identify with our thoughts. We think I am my thoughts. We identify with our body. We think I am my body. Some people think that the soul can't be possible because I am my brain, and when my brain dies, I die. Every time you identify with something that's not you, that's not really who you are, it's ego. The voices in your head. I don't have a problem, neither do I. How does experience fit in the ego? I mean, the ego death bothers the ego. So when you say it bothers you, that's your ego talking, as far as I'm concerned. The ego doesn't like to die. And then tries to convince you that if it dies, you die. And so you get bothered by it. So if you feel threatened by the idea of your ego dying, that's really your ego feeling threatened by it. But the good news is, I've had my ego die many times, and each time my ego dies, it's worse for the ego every time, and then it just gets exhausting to even identify with it. And so you start to realize that you're not your ego, and your ego can die over and over again, and you're still here. You're not your ego, so it's not a problem. I mean, even if your ego dies, it's still there. When I was younger and practicing Buddhism and meditation, we thought that you could just kill the ego and it'd be gone, and you'd be enlightened, and you'd be walking around with some magical ability to perceive reality differently, and you never have to suffer any problems that the ego causes again. And it's not true. Ego death is more like just losing total attachment to it, so you don't identify with it anymore. It doesn't mean it ceased to exist. As long as you're going to have conversations with other people who have egos, as long as you're going to interact in this world, um, your ego is going to come out. Just it's like if you're an actor, as long as you keep playing the same character, there's a lot of actors that will do part one, part two, part three of a movie. If you're going to keep playing the same character or the same types of characters over and over again, then those characters will never die, and you can always, even that's not who you are, you can always bring it back. Like, what was the name of the character of Woody Harrelson when he was like in Cheers? I don't remember his name. Um, but I'm sure he's a good actor. I'm sure he remembers it, enjoys it. And he could, even if he didn't remember, he could watch a few episodes of Cheers, and I'm sure he could go on any stage in front of you and become that character again if he wanted to. And it's the same thing. If you kill your ego, you can always, it's always there. It's the idea of killing is just not identifying with it. I mean, if you are your ego, then how can you even be afraid of your ego dying? I must now take shrooms and fix my. Yeah, go ahead. Do some shrooms, and your ego will be definitely be dead. Or if you really want to help it, um, take some peyote or something like that, or some ayahuasca, and you'll lose all contact with what you think reality is, including who you think you are, and everything that seems so solid and real will be gone. Um, and then your ego will be completely dead. So yeah, definitely do some shrooms. Um, but if your goal is to not have your ego, I mean, if your goal is to make your ego bigger, uh, probably you don't want to be using shaman things like shrooms or peyote or something. Other factors than just your ego and your soul. Interesting, Nexus. Nexus, you bring up a lot of interesting points. So I'm waiting for you to like expand on them some. I'm not gonna like feed you everything. You have some ideas, so I'm curious on where they're going. So you have to expand what you mean by that. What other factors are we talking about besides your ego and your soul? How to make your ego larger? Okay. I mean, it's like a balloon. If you keep blowing up the balloon, eventually it's full of hot air. Eventually it's gonna pop. So anything you can do to make your ego larger can also kill it. So it's an awesome way to kill your ego. Sure. Um, let's see. Make your ego larger. Um, keep attaching to who you think you are. Attach, watch more movies, get more involved in anything that gets you emotional, and just let that rile up. Get caught up in drama. Make sure that you take everything personally. If someone doesn't like your favorite football team, if somebody doesn't like your favorite show or doesn't feel or think the same way you do, challenge them, question them, debate it, argue it, and make sure it's very important on whether you win it or not, or whether they agree with you or not. There's a lot of ways to make your ego bigger. And then eventually that'll cause you more and more suffering. And finally, even your ego won't like the suffering anymore. And you'll be coming to people, if you talk about the ego, saying, how can I get rid of it? So, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the only reason as a Buddhist practice to get rid of the ego is because, from my understanding, it's what causes all the suffering. Um, not having an ego, but being attached to it, feeling like I am my ego is what causes all the suffering. So if you're one of the only people on this planet or in this universe that can actually get rid of suffering by making your ego bigger, I don't comprehend how you do that. It's pretty impressive. I don't think it's impossible, but if you can do that, if you can eliminate all your suffering and all the suffering around you by making your ego as big as possible, then I say go for it. Getting rid of the egos is for depression. Interesting. So it's very important to you to have your ego, and you would be depressed without your ego. I mean, the good news, like I said, is even if you practice what I suggest and killed your ego completely, if you do it the right way, um, It's not like it's not something that you literally have to do without. It's like putting something in the fridge. You can always go back in the fridge and take out the water when you're thirsty, or take out the food and eat some of it. It's not like throw it in the trash can. So I mean, it's just losing attachment to it. It's not. I mean, I do a lot of things. When I go watch a movie and I lose myself in the movie, or come back from a movie, and like when I liked Spider-Man and all that stuff, I was ego indulging myself with my childhood and my fantasies of Marvel comics and things like that. I did all kinds of ego fun with that. I wasn't going to make it. If it was a bad movie, I wasn't going to get depressed over it. Um, Luckily for me, it was a good movie. I did a lot of indulgence, and I came back and did a broadcast and talked about it. And a lot of people liked the broadcast, but it wasn't like I'm like some super movie reviewer. I wasn't getting people coming in and telling me how great I was for reviewing it. I just liked it so much I wanted to talk about it, and that was all ego indulgence. And I have no problem with indulging the ego. Um, I just realize, I know it's not who I am. Um, if I heard the movie was good and went to go see it and they canceled it, and I wouldn't like it, but I'd live. You would have serious issues if your ego died. So I mean, obviously, then there's a lot of work that you need to do before you even try to even consider letting go of it. Then, and part of that is separating what you think your ego is from who you really are. So before you can even consider the possibility of maybe be good for you to shrink it down or lose attachment to it, you have to find out exactly what is your ego and exactly who you are and how much is ego and how important ego is and so on. You have to find out what's going on first before you decide what you want to do. I'm not going to encourage you to try and kill the ego if you're saying that you're going to get depressed by it and so on. There are some personalities that defy the logic of ego. Some people are not always about them, but others. Nexus, I'm not going to see you speak in riddles, but it's very hard to understand sometimes the way you put words together. There are some personalities that defy the logic of ego. Let's start with that sentence. I mean, the ego to me is not logic. If it's any type of reason, it's like rationalization. A equals B because it makes me feel better that A equals B. That's not really logic. If you take away all emotion, it's pretty hard to create an ego. And logic is like a form of mathematics to almost a degree, and it doesn't really involve any emotional attachments at all. That's why a lot of people are threatened by logic. Yeah, please expand on your statement. Personalities that defy the logic of ego. So far, Nexus has said a lot of things that I just assume, because we've had conversations that Nexus has a really good point, and I keep waiting for Nexus to expand on one of the points, and instead Nexus makes another point, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess we lost the first one. Let's expand on this one. And so each time I try and get Nexus to expand on one of the points, Nexus just makes a point totally different. And it's hard to, I want to help, Nexus wanted to discuss certain things with me, but you have to unpackage things. You have to break down what each part of what you're saying means so we can question it and dissect it and analyze it and see if there's any truth in there. And if there is, what do you mean by it? And are there other things you haven't considered or things I haven't considered? So let's just take the sentence. It's really hard to explain, but there's some personalities that defy the logic of ego. What do you mean by personalities that defy the logic of ego? What do you mean by the logic of ego? Acer, me and Rochelle are best friends right now. So we're friends, basically. That's where we're at. That's as far as I'm going to explain anything. We managed to salvage a friendship out of the whole thing, which I'm happy about. You can't always do that. In fact, a lot of people can't do that. So, I'm sure you've heard the term "it's complicated" before. But I guess it's not that complicated. My computer's rebooting. I actually let my computer do its updates. I was getting tired of it reminding me and demanding I do it. It's like It's like a child begging for candy. Can I do the updates now? Can I do that? No, later, later. Can I do it now? Can I do it now? I was like, okay, computer, just do your fucking updates. I'm broadcasting on YouNow. I'll just ignore the computer while the laptop wants to do its updates. I mean, don't undervalue friendship. I don't have a whole lot of people I consider friends, like best friends, like somebody I would trust and could talk to like that. Um, so it's not a bad thing, really. I mean, I'm not going to go any further than say it was obvious I wanted more. Um, but whatever you have, you always want more, and especially if it's something good. Then if something's really really good, then of course you're going to want more. But again, let's not undervalue friendship. It's real friendship, real true friendship. Somebody you can really trust, love, care about. Somebody you can respect, understand. Somebody you can always talk to. That's really hard to find. It's because my ego died. No, trust me, I want more. I just don't want to discuss it because reality is what it is, and there's just no point in beating it into the ground of what you want. You know, part of ego is desire. When I talk about attachment and aversion, it's two aspects of desire. So if I'm thirsty, I drink water. I don't have attachment to it. I feel better. I drink the water. I feel more hydrated. I feel more awake, more alive, healthier. But if I was attached to it, then it'd be like I couldn't drink any other liquid but water. Um, and the water would have to taste a certain way or whatever. If I had an aversion to it, then I would refuse to drink water. If you want more than your ego is still alive, you're not a real Buddhist. What's a real Buddhist? I would love to hear that definition. It's like when the Christians say, well, you're not a true Christian. What's a real Buddhist? Is there a difference between a real Buddhist and just a regular Buddhist? Are there real Buddhists, fake Buddhists, regular Buddhist, enlightened Buddhist, not enlightened Buddhist? What's the word real mean to you? Because the word reality suggests existence. So when you say I'm not a real Buddhist, are you saying I don't really exist? Or Buddhism doesn't exist? Or do you think I'm not practicing Buddhism correctly? Beliefs, of course I don't follow beliefs. That's why I chose Buddhism, because Buddhism isn't about beliefs. If Buddhism was about beliefs, I would never have got any interest in studying, researching, or practicing anything about it. That's why I hate all religion, because it's all about beliefs. Buddhism is the one, they call it the religion of no religion. There's no beliefs involved. So there's no beliefs to follow, really. I don't follow Buddhism, I practice Buddhism. It's like when you go to work out at a gym, um, are you following the beliefs of the gym, or are you just practicing exercise? You're disciplining yourself and trying to achieve a certain physical strength and health. Philosophy isn't about beliefs. You're talking to a philosopher. I've been a philosopher since I was like 10. The word beliefs is something that only has any value because of religion. Once we kill religion, the word beliefs. I mean, the word belief itself is like a non-word. It's a nonsense word. It has so many damn definitions to it. Well, it's going to be semantic games because the word belief doesn't even, in philosophy, we like to define our terms. And the word belief has so many definitions, you'd have to have an encyclopedia for it instead of, almost any other word you look up in the dictionary, especially certain philosophical terms like epistemology. They can give you just one simple definition that's clear and concise. But for the word belief, it's like there's as many definitions to the word belief as there are people on the planet. So there's almost 6 billion people on the planet. So there's probably 6 billion different definitions of belief. So any word that has that many definitions is just a nonsense word. It's just gibberish. So if you care about something, you're not following the one. There's no such thing as Buddhist beliefs. Two, Buddhism does give you teachings on how to practice mindfulness and awareness and follow the Eightfold Path. And one of the main teachings of Buddhism is compassion. So eliminating compassion is not a Buddhist teaching, and so it's actually focused on compassion. So how would you not care about anything if you know if you have compassion? There are Buddhist beliefs. All right, give me a Buddhist belief. I mean, there are Buddhist teachings, but you say they're Buddhist beliefs. So give me a belief. If if there are no Buddhist beliefs, then you would not be a Buddhist. It's not logical. You think you're making a logical syllogism, but you're not. Okay. Let's take an atheist. Um, Atheists get pretty agitated when people tell them, um, that they must have a belief system or what do they believe, all that crap. And so they try and tell people, the definition of atheism is just somebody who just lacks a certain belief in something. Um, so if you told an atheist, well, if you don't have atheist beliefs, you're not really a real atheist. They probably laugh in your face. Um, I think it's something very similar with Buddhism. So no, it's not. It's not a religion, but yeah, you're right in the sense that everything's been. Yeah, atheism isn't a religion either, and Buddhism is not a religion. But like atheism, people have tried to turn Buddhism into a religion, and part of the way they did that was Buddhism has been influenced in a lot of different parts of the world, and in those parts of the world, whatever religion or culture was in that area would infiltrate the Buddhist teaching. So where there were Hindu teachings, those Hindu teachings would start overlapping with the Buddhist teachings, and they start joining, and it would become like a religion. Um, Buddhism itself, it doesn't require Hinduism or Hindu beliefs or any of the culture stuff that got mixed in with it. It doesn't require any beliefs whatsoever. Buddhism would be Buddhist because then Buddhism would not have a set of beliefs to define. You don't need beliefs to define. Okay, what beliefs do you have to define what science is? Let's take science for example. Let's say science has a set of beliefs. Otherwise, scientists wouldn't be scientists because then science would not have this they would not have a set of beliefs to define what science is. Um, Most scientists would probably argue with you on that. There's a scientific method, and they use the scientific method. Yeah, exactly. But the scientific method isn't a belief system because now we're going to treat everything. Everything is a belief system. So the scientific method is a belief system. Atheism is a belief system. Any method of thinking or reasoning is a belief system. And then the word belief just means anything. If you have a thought in your head and you follow that thought to its logical conclusion, then according to you, that would be a belief or a belief system. Um, if you're feeling bad today, if you're in a bad mood, that's a belief. So everything's a belief. So if everything's a belief, then nothing's a belief because now the word belief is just applied to every word and every theory and every philosophy and you're just going to apply it to everything. It is a word game because you basically have used belief. Yeah, it is absurd. You basically use belief as applying to Buddhism. You use it as applying to the scientific method. You still haven't defined. Like for instance, you said Buddhists have beliefs. So give me a Buddhist belief. I'm still waiting for that. I mean, I'm a fairly decent practice Buddhism and know the teachings fairly well. Not, yeah, I couldn't really teach a class on it because I don't want to say I'm selfish, but because I have tried to learn it enough to help people sometimes, but I have not really dedicated myself to really be able to learn it to actually teach a class on it. I don't keep things in my memory like that. My cousin's much better at that stuff. He has like almost a photographic memory, but I definitely have an understanding of the teachings. Reincarnation crap is is reincarnation crap like different than just regular reincarnation? But I know what you're saying. So I mean, a lot of not all Buddhists think reincarnation is the answer to how things work, and the teachings on Buddhism that explain reincarnation don't really give like a definition or explanation of reincarnation that would make you or even me comfortable. They talk about how the mind is made of the five skandhas, and how your ego is dissolved. And so basically, by the time I get to, if I sat there and got a Buddhist book for you on the Bardos on what happens after you die, their description of how what happens to your ego and your mind when you die, and how everything dissolves, and there's nothing left practically the way they word it. You would think that by the way they define it, you would think there is no life after death, and reincarnation doesn't even mean anything by the time they get done with it. And again, it's because it's all words. It's, yeah, if you don't directly experience something, you're just reading words. It becomes very frustrating. It's like not only do you have to read the teachings of things like this, but you also have to meditate. And yeah, Buddhists have I don't want to call it debates, I guess. Yeah, where different Buddhist, different teachings clash against each other, and they try and basically find the truth out of it. But they do it like philosophers do. And it's going to keep coming down to experience, because if you don't directly experience it, then it's just my word against your word, my reason against your reasoning. It's an argument, it's semantics. The only way to get to the truth of something, whether it be Buddhist teachings or philosophy, trying to find about metaphysics, the nature of reality, is you got to be on common ground where both people have experienced certain things, and we can discuss what we experienced, what you experienced, if you meditated, if I meditated, what your understanding of certain teachings are, how you practice those teachings, how it's affected your mind, how it's affected your life, your perception of reality. If you don't have any direct experiences of it, if you haven't meditated, if you haven't practiced mindfulness, if you haven't studied philosophy, existentialism, whatever, you haven't applied any of it to your life, and you haven't seen any consequences of it. The ego's always, there's no way to, the only way to kill the ego is to achieve total enlightenment. And if you achieve a total enlightenment, then you're not here. I'm not here. I'm not on earth sitting here talking to you. As long as I'm here talking to you, there's an ego. What I mean by ego death is not to be attached to it. If I'd let myself be attached to it, then it'd probably be very frightening to me that there's no thoughts in my head right now. That would probably bother the fuck out of me. But because I practiced what I practiced, I didn't know I was going to ever achieve that. I didn't know even that it would be a good thing. I probably would have been scared shitless if you told me that's what was going to happen. But with me, now that I've actually achieved it, now I realize that it's a good thing, and it doesn't bother me. I'm kind of attached to it. I mean, attached to what? It's impossible to discuss things without appearing to be attached to something. If I say this is water, and you say, no, I believe you have apple juice in there, and then I passionately argue it's water, I'm going to share it's water, I'm going to open it, then that's attachment right there. It's all ego. It doesn't mean that there's no water in here, though. Whether I'm attached to it or not, there's still water in here. It's still not orange juice. And if I get all ego attached and I have to prove to you that this is water because you're arguing it's orange juice, that's all ego shit. But it's still water. Is it your water? No, it's just water. There's water. The only fact I can say is that there's water in here. If I say it's my water, then that is attachment. I mean, I get thirsty all the time. I'm going to continuously drink this, and I could say it's my water. But if somebody came up to me who hasn't had any water for a whole day or something, of course I'm gonna want to give that to that person, and I'm not gonna be thinking it's my water. I'm just gonna think the person's thirsty. The ego is always lying to itself. That's the nature of the ego. It's delusional. At some level, you still believe. I'm back to beliefs again. Thank you, Nexus. Finally, somebody gets at least something I'm saying, and doesn't just assume that I'm just talking in circles for the fucking fun of it. Oh, that was my ego that had to say the word fucking. It's really not that important to emphasize it. At least I'm aware that the ego is there. I know when it expresses itself, I can tell. And it doesn't bother me because I know it's not really me, but on the other hand, I accept it is part of me or I wouldn't have done it. It's not me in the sense that when I say something's not me, I mean that's not all there is to me. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. That's what religion does. That's what religion and politics and all the power play shit. They want to convince you. They want to persuade you of something. I don't want to convince you or persuade you of anything. I had to meditate for years just to get to any of the levels I'm trying to get to, and nobody persuaded me of any of it. You can't be persuaded by somebody, you have to experience it. If I tell you I saw a UFO out my window, you know, I can't persuade you of that. The only way you're going to believe what I'm saying or understand what I'm getting at, the only way you can trust that my experience is real is if you are here and I can walk you outside and I can show you that and you experience it for yourself. I don't want you convinced. Convinced would mean that I put words out of my mouth and somehow you start agreeing with something I'm saying because of how I say it or something. It's not an experience. I haven't. You wouldn't have learned anything from reality. Did you fall asleep? I'm glad you tried though, because meditation. I mean, when I sit there and talk about what I did and some of what I achieved with it, um, I don't want to give you the misimpression that when I first started that it wasn't hard or I didn't fall asleep and stuff. A lot of times when I achieved some of my deepest meditations and achieved good things out of them, um, I would fall asleep very quickly because it's just something the mind does sometimes. It's I guess it's like when you exercise and you feel that burn and you have to stop exercise. It's sort of like a pullback, and it's something you have to keep practicing to become strong enough to just work through it because you do fall asleep sometimes. What is a thing, and how you know what is experience and what is ego? Yeah, you're also sleep deprived. So I mean, direct experience is what we're talking about. And part of the teachings that I've learned is mindfulness. So, in order to get to the root of your question, um, and when a lot of these teachings I like, and people are like, well, that's because you're Buddhist, you have Buddhist beliefs. It's not. It's because um, if those teachings were given to me through any other means, I would still like to use them because they make sense to me. So, whether a Christian, a Buddhist, or an atheist told me about mindfulness, I don't care who told me about it. If they explained to me how mindfulness works and I practiced it, I would get benefit from it. So, and I could just get rid of all Buddhist beliefs or what you call beliefs or whatever, all teachings or whatever, and not study or read any Buddhist scripture at all. But if I know what mindfulness, I could still practice it, and I wouldn't even have to call myself a Buddhist to do it. But mindfulness is something that gets you to this direct experience. The ego is constantly defending, of course. Um, Basically there's either agreement or disagreement. So if you're going to agree with everything I say, then the ego doesn't feel it needs to defend itself. So if you go like, yeah, you're right, Brian. Yeah, you're right, Brian. Then if my ego's big, it'll like get all excited and try and like connect with you and bond with you. Yeah, yeah. I'm talking to Acer, and Acer says I'm right, and I'll try and make you feel better, so you'll make me feel better, and all that. But if the ego is small, then if you just say I'm right about this, that, and the other, I'll be like, oh, maybe I'm reaching him, maybe I'm helping him. But maybe I'm not. So again, either way, the ego doesn't have anything to defend there. But if you disagree, um, then my ego is going to sit there and try and defend itself when really um, it's no benefit to it. If obviously, when you see me defend myself, it doesn't make you want to practice anything I say. Um, Beliefs don't make you want to practice anything. So even if there's truth to the teachings and there's truth to meditation and achieving enlightenment, even if all that has a basis in reality and enlightenment from my understanding, gets rid of suffering on a certain level, even if that's true, I can't get you there by convincing you of something, persuading you of something, defending my viewpoint, and making you believe what I believe or making you agree with me. It's not going to get you to that truth. It's not going to help you achieve enlightenment by persuading you to think or agree with me on anything. You have to actually practice it and see if it works or not. It's the same as scientific. If I say, hey, whenever I drop this, gravity says it's going to drop. Um, if I think there's some circumstance that I can make this float in the air, then I have to figure out the circumstance. I have to demonstrate it to you. Like, it can't be with words. I have to really show you. And even then, even if I could make it float right now, you'd probably doubt it. So I would doubt if I saw that. So you have to directly experience yourself. You would probably rightly assume if you saw this thing floating that I might have a string or something holding it up. The first assumption is it's just not possible. So if it was possible, the only way you're going to experience it is if you could do it and you could experience it, like not on this camera, but in your house in front of your own face. And so there's no way you're going to get what I'm saying, even if it was true, unless you experience it directly, unless you experience it. It doesn't matter what I say. Spirituality or higher power. I don't believe in spirituality or higher power. I don't talk about, I don't like the term higher power because it's about power, you know? And a lot of people refer to God as a higher power. Just ridiculous. Why does God need to even be about power? You know, I have a lot of questions about when people use the word for the terms they use to imply something about what we call God, like a higher power, or that God has to be a person. All these preconceptions, all these assumptions that religion and, you know, certain belief systems encourage us to think. You know, why does it have to be that way? I don't experience it that way. I mean, but the thing is even when you have no ego, you still do, as Acer keeps pointing out to me. It's impossible to just eliminate ego to the point. I mean, one of the tricks the ego likes to play is when I would achieve certain levels of enlightenment, um, where I literally would let go 100%, and I'd start talking to a monotone, and all my emotion would go to my voice practically, unless it was just pure happiness. Um, and I would just sound like a crazy person, even though I was experiencing in my mind egolessness. Um, and then some people would get really offended by it if I start talking, no matter how the closer I got to the truth of something, the more they'd be offended because I would just speak with way too much confidence, and they think I was some arrogant person. And then they draw me into arguments about that, and you know, I mean, but higher power uses the word power though. A lot of it's I don't like to. I think it's ridiculous. You know, once you experience what the universe is or God is, it's annoying to me that people refer to it as power. They're so obsessed with that. Like the alcoholics who try to give up alcoholism, they say they have to give their life to a higher power. It's like you don't trust your own soul because you need something, some kind of power to take over your will or something. It's really weird to me. As a spiritual anarchist, I used to tell people, they asked me what I meant, and I said I don't have any gods or governments or any religion or philosophy. They said, well, what's your higher power? I said the only authority or power that I see to is my own soul. That's the highest authority there's no authority above my soul. Um, and they would get all offended, and they thought I meant by soul, um, like my ego, myself. Like if I like chocolate, if I think that girl's pretty over there, that's what they thought. You know, if I wanted to go get drunk, or I wanted to go have sex, or I wanted to do something to give myself pleasure or happiness or something I desire, you know, all selfish ego shit. If I want to sit and watch TVs or go watch a movie so I could, you know, watch a comedy so I could laugh or whatever, they thought, you know, all the things that I could possibly desire or want, that I was just going to follow my own ego and just keep feeding myself whatever I want. And so they thought that when I said that the only authority I follow is my soul, they heard the word self and assumed that that's what I meant. And I'm like, it's pretty fucked up that if I tell you that there's nothing higher than my soul, that people would think that I was talking about, you know, liking to eat chocolate or go get laid or something. It's just, they just make all these assumptions that just, it doesn't even fit what I experience is what I call my soul. It's just ridiculous. They're like, oh, so you don't follow anything higher than yourself? They hear the word self, or you only follow who you are, who you think. They don't even know what the word soul means, obviously. Yeah, Lisa, you are playing word games. I'll give you that. You're very good at it. I'm trying to break down what words mean and show you that some words don't really have meaning. Every time you eat, that is your ego. Interesting. That's a pretty strong statement there. Every time you eat, that is your ego. Explain that one. I'm not even going to debate that one. I want to hear how you explain that one first. In Zen Buddhism, they teach, when hungry, eat, when tired, sleep. Um, it's completely no ego. You know, people who have like eating disorders, who constantly eat, or have bulimia, where they're constantly trying to make themselves throw up or whatever. These people are not following the Zen teaching of when hungry, eat. They're eating for all different other reasons. Um, if you just eat when you're hungry and just drink when you're thirsty and just sleep when you're tired and you're just living, you're just alive and you're just here. Um, to me, that's really far from the ego. But I'm curious on what you're saying. Eating, drinking, and drugs. Interesting that you equate those things. So you have to eat and drink water just to be alive, just to be on this earth and serve whatever purpose you're trying to serve. How do you equate someone drinking water when they're thirsty with somebody doing crack cocaine? How do you make this the same? I'm curious, Acer. You have eating, like literally eating is ego, driven by the ego. I mean, your body needs sustenance and needs nutrients. As long as you're walking around the earth, you have a body. Even though you are not your body, if you don't take care of it, it dies, which eventually will anyway. But it's sort of like saying if I get the oil changed in my car because I don't want my car to stop working, then that's ego. I mean, there's some things you have to do as maintenance just to keep things going. Um, it can become ego. Like I said, there are people with eating disorders, people who are obese and are 500 pounds, or people are anorexic and they literally can't eat because they're afraid that they'll gain weight. There are all kinds of disorders of the ego. Um, that's why they're called eating disorders. But just eating food is not ego. Your body gets cravings, but the thing is when your body desires to have nutrients, um, and you give the body the nutrients, and you build it physically, mentally, spiritually, um, you feel healthy and you feel alive and you're less stressed if you like get certain essential, like I always talk about the essential fatty acids that people aren't that aware of, that if you don't get some sort of essential fatty acids, then what happens is your body will start craving the bad fat because you won't give it the good fat because maybe you don't know what it is. So instead of eating flaxseed or fish oil, I don't do fish oil because I'm vegetarian, but instead of doing that, your body keeps craving those essential fatty acids. So you misinterpret the craving because you're not educated on it, and so you get potato chips. And it's happened to me, even though I know the truth about it. And what happens is you can't get a small bag of potato chips because there's probably about this much good fat in it and that much bad fat in it. And your body really is craving the good fat. So you're sitting there eating bags and bags of potato chips trying to get this much good fat out of it, when all you really have to do is just get the foods that actually have the good fat, like the omega-3 out of like flaxseed and stuff like that, and you wouldn't be even craving the potato chips. Eating and drinking are required to be alive. Your body at some level believes it needs it as well. Um, I'm trying to understand. You're saying my body has beliefs now? So, like, if I'm thirsty, you think my body's going, I do believe you need some water. Like, my body has a belief? It's in our DNA. So, you think the genetic programming of our DNA has beliefs? I mean, no offense, but from the beginning, I was like challenging that you use the word belief like on everything. And that's got a bit strange now that you're saying that my body has beliefs, my DNA has beliefs. Do you see how ridiculous this word is now? The word belief. Your ego it gets so addicted to this word, and I'm sure all the politicians and all the religions that have been trying to convert you would be really happy knowing how addicted you are to that word, because it's very easy to manipulate people who like beliefs. Um, but it's just a useless word. If you get rid of it, you're gonna. I think it's possible you'd be a lot happier. It's just a useless word. I mean, just imagine like ISIS or some holy war or the Inquisition, Christian Inquisitions and Crusades. Just imagine somebody trying to push that shit. Imagine Hitler's crap. Imagine that. Imagine somebody trying to push the Holocaust, to kill all the Jewish people like Hitler did, or ISIS that's going on right now. Imagine people trying to make that happen to the extent that it's happening. without using beliefs, without manipulating people's emotions with beliefs. Imagine people trying to get that type of effect if everybody in the world just said, fuck it, we don't have beliefs, beliefs is ridiculous. If everybody just gave up on having beliefs, how easy would we be to manipulate? How easy would politicians or religious nutballs be able to manipulate us with marketing and advertising? How would they even get in our head if we refuse to have beliefs? I'm like, I don't want to say I'm dangerous, but it's like a dangerous idea. Let's get rid of beliefs. It's just it's outlived its usefulness. So Nexus, let's get to the point that you would like to get to. Okay, let's see. Living things need to eat, drink, and reproduce to stay alive. True. I agree with that. Low key dangerous. You like the word low key too. Is it low key like, hey, this is just low key? Or is it Loki, like Loki, like the Norse god of mischief? I'm curious about that too. I noticed that what's his name? He used to call himself "Just Call Me Jesus." Has actually changed his name to Loki, like you're using, and then the Norse god Loki, Loki, Loki. That's what he calls himself now. Make fun of the younger generation. It's pretty funny. So living things need to eat, drink, and reproduce to stay alive. I found something I agree with you on. That's true. That's part of the definition of living. It's very hard for any living organism to live unless it takes in nutrients and reproduces and eliminates waste. It's just part of the biological system. So I give you that. We can start with that premise. Is I'll take that. I'll accept that. What drives living things to eat, drink, and reproduce? Very interesting question. I mean, from the biological standpoint, Richard Dawkins and Daniel Dennett and a lot of these atheist philosophers would say, yeah, they wouldn't even say there's an ego. They would argue with you, the atheists. They would say, hey, you are your body, and your body has these drives, and all you are is you're just along for the ride. The body does what it wants, and you don't have a choice. You don't have free will. When your body wants food, it just forces you to eat food, and yeah, it just gets ridiculous from there. Now, as far as the ego driving you to do it, it depends on just how attached you are to these things. That's why in Zen, it's when hungry eat, when tired sleep. It's not like they constantly indulge it and be need to eat all the time, or go the other way where you're so frightened by what eating can do to you that you become like anorexic or something. So to me, with using eating as an example, I think that the eating disorders that people have, like I said, when they become obese or they become anorexic or they go to some extreme, um, or their food becomes part of their life where they literally give up half of their life for that. To me, it can become ego. But just the fact that you eat to stay alive, I don't see that as ego. And if you stop eating, you starve to death. I don't think we're physical beings like Acer said. Our DNA tells us to eat and drink, so any problems with personality is linked to DNA. So you don't have a personality then. You're genetically programmed to say these things. You're just a computer program, and you're repeating like an artificial intelligence. These words aren't really what you think or believe. It's just your DNA is programmed to get you food and drink and so on, and basically keep your body alive. And it basically processes thoughts and forces you to communicate to me and other people, um, because interesting and not physical beings. So how does the DNA work if it's not physical? Not a difference between eating and sex. Well, I mean, yeah, there's such thing as a sex drive, but again, if you from the scientist's point of view, if you have a sex drive, it's a biological imperative caused by certain chemistry in your brain. Um, not sure where the ego even gets involved with that. That's kind of the problem that science has. Is it constantly tries to define us as machines. It's just automatic machines, and the brain is constantly just pushing us by chemicals. Um, but then it acknowledges our environment, says that psychology manipulates us into like wanting women with bigger breasts or whatever. And so they say it's all psychological, it's all by our environment. You can't have it both ways. If it's all genetic and we're just machines, then why should we respond to our environment or at all? Why should advertising or marketing, why should any of that have effect on us if we're just physically responding to sensations? Favorite food? Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I have had attachment to food before, uh, and I've been working on it because it's been causing some issues with my health, like eating pizza and stuff. And I'm kind of agitated that, like you said, the body has biological imperatives, and it is easy to get addicted to certain foods like a drug. And pizza is like one of my weaknesses. I don't like that. I got so addicted to cheese, and I know what the cause is, and I'm working on it. Yeah, yeah, you're right. The ego is involved in that because um, my body doesn't physically need cheese specifically. Part of that was when I became vegetarian. One, I didn't realize that cheese was made with animal product besides milk. I didn't realize that there was actually something worse in there. So I just thought I was drinking milk. So I didn't even know what I was doing. Two, I didn't know that milk even had a cause of animal suffering. I thought getting milk from a cow is no different than getting water from a water fountain. I didn't get what's going on. It's pretty ignorant about it. But three, I didn't understand how cheese was processed or made. Um, so when I quit meat, um, one by one, first chicken, then pork, and so on, I started to lose my cravings for these foods. Um, and I didn't even know I was going to keep eating fish because I thought I had some sort of protein. Um, and I lost my cravings for that. And once I cut it all out, my cravings for cheese went up, and it just caused me all kinds of damn problems, um, including cholesterol problems, and then the conflict with like the practice I'm trying to do, where I don't want to eat animal product. Um, so it's something that it is a battle between me and my ego to try and see if I can cut it out, cut it back. Um, and then there's part of me that wants to move towards veganism, and I don't know if I can do it. And then, again, it's all ego shit. So yeah, if you're saying that ego is involved with eating, I already agreed with that. There's eating disorders like bulimia and anorexia, and then there's assumptions about what you need to consume, even if your soul doesn't want. Even deep in my soul, I don't want to eat anything that's results in animal suffering. But I've been programmed from birth, not from birth, but from day one that to eat meat and to eat animals, and there's nothing wrong with it, blah, blah, blah. And I still get people throwing it in my face that it's ridiculous, and they get offended or triggered that I even suggest. Um, I remember I walked in front of a restaurant and it said, be kind. And then they admitted that they served hamburgers, and it said, be kind. And I had a picture of a cow, and I was like, well, you're killing animals, and you're saying be kind. And I said it to somebody, and they got very upset because they thought I was calling them an animal killer. So, I mean, there's a lot of emotion and attachments and ego problems involved in this. Protect yourself. You're trying to, let me try and comprehend what you're saying. You're trying to protect yourself from the pain of life by killing your ego. And ego is worsening your depression. What makes you think you even have a depression? They hurt plants. I'm starting to think you're trolling me. I was wondering when you brought up at the beginning of the conversation that I blocked you before, and I was like, why would I block you? I'm starting to have a memory that maybe you just like the troll, you just like the. I've always been accused of that. I just like to argue, which would imply that I don't give a fuck about what I'm saying, as long as I can keep an argument going. Um, I'm starting to wonder. Do you just like to argue? Are you trolling me? How much of this is your actual thoughts and viewpoints, and how much of this is just to challenge everything I say and just keep arguments going? Yeah, you probably, yeah, okay. So you're serious about most of your comments. So you're trolling a little bit, but you actually are. So you're the dangerous troll. I have to pick. It's like 80 to 90% of what you say is your true thought and viewpoint, and then the other 10 to 20% is just trying to um, provoke or. Okay, I get it. Okay, so the jokes you make are trolling, but the arguments are serious. Interesting. So whenever I see humor, I should not take you seriously at all. But then your points, you're still trying to make the same points. The thing though is when you mix that in with the points you're making, um, with jokes you're making, because jokes is kind of a way to communicate something that's hard to communicate, where you're trying to make a joke out of it, you're trying to exaggerate to make a point. So it's hard to differentiate on what part you're serious about, what part you're not. Damn, is it 1 a.m.? We're having so much fun. I just like not paying attention to time, and man, I mean, I purposely changed my schedule to like 2 o'clock p.m. so that I can stay up as late as I want. But I noticed that um, once it gets to 2 a.m., once it starts getting close to 2, I'm gonna stay up to 3 and 4 and so on. It's just gonna exhaust me. So I'm probably not gonna like keep this going for a whole another hour, and I definitely am not gonna keep it going for 2 more hours. So next is what was your? Okay, you said weird. He makes sense. So who makes sense? You're saying everything Acer says makes sense. If you were growing up, you were the most beautiful, most attractive, I guess you mean physically person, and had the most hottest woman on your side, you'd probably not have this belief system. What belief system are you talking about? Well, I mean, when I was bodybuilding, I'm sure that part of that was I was programmed from day one that you know if you're not sexually prowls, if every woman's not staying in line to be with you, you're not a real man. You have to have every woman want you, and the more sex experience you have, the more man you are, the more you got to be strong, you got to be violent, you got to be aggressive. The more you are the opposite of all that, there's something wrong. um, and so I think when I was bodybuilding, I was like really overcompensating, and it was going to become an obsession if I hadn't hurt my back, ironically. um, because no matter how strong I got, I could be stronger, and no matter how big my muscles were, there were people who were bigger, and so yeah, you're right. If I hadn't hurt my back, I probably would just be so obsessed with it. I don't know what would have happened to me. I probably wouldn't become a philosopher. Maybe I would, because my mind demands it. It'd be a curious question. What would have happened if I never hurt my back? Mm, I mean, if you live in a world where everything's just given to you and handed to you, the story of Buddha was supposedly, I don't know, I wasn't there, but supposedly Buddha's father was a king and was going to give him his kingdom and all that. And had that happened, Buddhism never would have happened. But because Buddha went out into the real world and saw suffering, um, he went to a totally different path. So it wasn't really his suffering that led him to learn and try and meditate and learn enlightenment and so on. It was seeing other people suffering. So I think to see other people suffering, you have to be able to suffer. So if you're kept in like kind of a, you just born just with the natural attributes of just being what everybody wants, and you're tall and good at sports and get great grades in school, and all the girls are into you, and everything just falls into place for you on a constant basis. You're probably not going to like really focus on a very spiritual life. But all that is impermanent anyway, though. I could have been born different. I could have grew up and been a taller and bigger person, and bodybuilding could have been easier, and maybe I wouldn't hurt my back, and money could have came out. All things could have distracted me like that, and I might not have led towards too much of a spiritual life. But that's all impermanent, so you can always lose it. Like even when I was bodybuilding, I was benching 180 pounds that I constantly talk about, or I have been this broadcast. It never occurred to me that one day I'd just wake up and not be able to even lift 10 pounds. So, I mean, it's all impermanent. You could hit the lottery tomorrow and be a millionaire and just not care about anybody but yourself and just spend money and be obsessed with money. But you could lose that money. Then what do you do? So, I mean, everything's impermanent. Let's see. Brian would be a sex addict. Yeah, I'm wondering about that because I was very into music and very into the music scene. And part of being able to have confidence, whether it be with music or women or just, just trying to be part of that, um, that part of society, you know, if I had more confidence, once I was bodybuilding and found out that people in my family did have some money or whatever, women were treating me a little bit better, and that confidence could have led me to get rid of a lot of the insecurities, and I could have gotten on stage and I could have led the musician's life. And that when you're in the musician's life, I immediately, even being attracted to it, I was offered drugs. So I mean, yeah, it could have easily went that way. No, of course you don't want to. Yeah, that again. Yeah, if you give up on everything good in life because you're trying to kill your ego, then what's happening is you've gone from attachment where you have to have everything. I need more women, I need more money. Nothing's good enough. I need more. I need more. That's attachment. If you go the other direction, say I don't need anything. I don't need no money. I don't give a fuck about money. I don't care about love. I don't care about sex. I don't care about life. That's aversion. That's where you just stop living life. So you don't want to go to aversion either. That's ego too. So I think we have come to an agreement because, um, you know, it's very easy to illustrate ego by just talking about attachment. Like, oh man, all you care about is sex. That's attachment. That's ego. It's very easy to illustrate ego that way. But if you have aversion to things, if you just withdraw from life and just basically can't be hurt if you don't put yourself out there and you just basically withdraw from everything, um, that's aversion. You have aversion to living. That is a different form of attachment, and that is also ego. You can't just wake up every morning and just say I'm here, and I've eaten some food and I'm drinking some water and I sleep and I go to work and I come home and I don't want to be attached to anything. I don't want to go out and pursue anything in life. I don't want to try and become a better person. All that matters is I'm still alive and I don't care about anything, and think that's getting rid of ego. Um, that's an aversion. It's basically you become afraid to live. You're not even trying. So what are the problems that your ego causes you? Or are you serious about that? Or are you joking about that? I can't tell if you're joking or serious. You said you have a very large ego and it's causing problems. Are you joking? Are you serious? Is there a real issue you want to discuss? And why don't I have water? She's now drinking so much water I have to actually use the restroom. So you are serious. Okay. So tell me what the problems that your ego is causing you, and see if we can have a conversation and see what the cause is. Um, and I'm gonna run the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. said right back. How long was I gone? I got hungry too. Ugh, these veggie chips just weren't working. Ugh, water addict. I know, I'm thirsty all the damn time. Constantly thirsty. The ego is driving the water problem. I'm gonna have to think about that. I mean, I'm physically thirsty, so I have to drink water, but it's a good question. Where's the host? Oh my room is completely empty. Oh boy, I better catch up on this. Here we go. Insecurities caused by ego. Okay. Hercules, I don't even know if you're still in here because I disappeared. It took too long, I'm sure. And I guess Hercules is looking for Jesus. Did Jesus come in while I was gone? Oh, cool. Okay. Well, now that I'm actually eating food, I'm going to be craving water even more. And I can't eat without drinking water. Hercules has found Jesus. Is it like Where's Waldo? These books where you have to look at pictures of all these people and you have to find Waldo. It's like, where's Jesus? And then when you find Jesus, I don't know if you get points or how that works. Control your ego. Bad ego. Bad ego. All right. So the only last comment I saw from Acer was that insecurities are caused by the ego. I mean, we all have insecurities. Where it becomes ego is we start identifying with the insecurities and start making ourselves feel bad about it, and so on. It's like all human beings have vulnerability, and vulnerability we assume is weakness, and so it's something we want to get rid of. And really, strength comes from vulnerability, so it's not something you have to get rid of. There's actually a book by Alan Watts called The Wisdom of Insecurity, and you might want to read that. My religion? I don't know how. If you want to join a religion, you're in the wrong room. Hey, sir, have you ever heard of Alan Watts? Writes a lot of books on Zen Buddhism. I'm sitting here eating on my broadcast. I'm committing the ultimate crime. So you didn't have insecurity before the ego caused the problem. That's interesting. Yeah, Alan Watts. He has a he has a very good book called The Wisdom of Insecurity. I think that's what it's called. Basically, so that the ego doesn't try and use your insecurity against you. Like having insecurities is a worse thing, and you can't get anything good out of it. He wrote a book that basically explains the purpose of it. I have it on my Kindle. I haven't read it in a while, but I do want to read it again. It's a very important book to me. Let's see if I can find it on Google. Did I spell that right? Darn it, I wanted Google, but it's still there. The Wisdom of Insecurity. Yeah, that's the title of the book. Who reads books? I mean, you can read it on Kindle. You don't have to get a paper copy. Alan Watts was like is like, I think in the same time period as what was his name that led the revolution of LSD and stuff like that. But Alan Watts was about Zen, but he was like one of the first Western teachers about it. So it was like from an American point of view. So it wasn't written in a way like you wouldn't have to like know anything about Buddhist culture or anything to understand his writings. He writes like very clearly, very just very readable, understandable English. Uh, One of his best books is Wisdom and Security. One of his another books is called The Way of Zen, and then there's also one of his ultimate books, the taboo against knowing who you are. Was Adam Sandler ever funny? Does your ego make you urinate? Yeah, when I drink too much water, it does. Some of us like to read. I used to have an extreme addiction to reading because it's like I couldn't know enough and I couldn't argue enough and I couldn't debate enough, and if I won arguments, it wasn't good enough, and it just got ridiculous. Ooh, Hercules. Whoa. I will have no pedophiles in my room. Don't make me block you. Exactly. When I said I invite trolls into my room, that's not what I mean. So, you should probably apologize to everyone in the room. Because otherwise... Okay. Fine. Yeah. Anybody that comes to my broadcast will tell you that I appreciate all kinds of joking and stuff. But there are levels, rape, killing, child molestation, that kind of shit. I can't tolerate it. It goes beyond, it's beyond trolling. There's no humor in it. So, thanks for the apologies, and we're just gonna pretend like it didn't happen. But, like I said, anybody who comes to my broadcast, knows that I purposely invite trolls in my room. I get bored if no troll comes in my room, and most of the people that come in my room and troll, they're very interesting, very intelligent, pretty funny people, and I don't have a problem with it. There's just certain things that I can't tolerate in my broadcast. I need to stop eating this, but I haven't eaten all day. I just realized it. All that talk about the ego making you eat. I realized I haven't eaten all day, and now I'm hungry. You have to pay me to not read? I mean, I'm reading your text. Would that be included? How would I interact with my fans in my chat room if I didn't read? The ego knows no bounds. So I'm allowed to read the text in my chat room, but not actual. So only full-length books. So how many pages or word count is that? Is that like 20,000 words, 50,000 words? Any book under 20? Like Sam Harris wrote a book called Free Will, and I think it was only 20,000 words, and it was considered like a very thin book. Would I be able to read that? What's the when you say full-length books? Just no books. You just said no full-length books. Now you're saying no books. So you're changing the whole contract before it's even signed. I think you're a politician. The opposite of ego. Am I fucking with you? I see, the people who say I'm fucking with them always say, don't fuck with me, you know what I mean. So, the assumption that I always know what you mean, that's fucking with me. How do I always know what you mean? You're the one fucking with people. You come in trolling and then tell me to stop fucking with you. It's pretty amusing. That's my favorite part of trolling, I guess. Word games. I mean, I don't have Scrabble, but if people are interested in playing word games, I could go buy Scrabble. And I could broadcast live, and we could like play Scrabble together. Hercules has a large ego. So where can I purchase an ego that large? Is it? Do you have to take it through customs? How do you even get it through customs? 8 inches long. Mm, that's bigger than average, but I don't know if that's large. Scrabble, I know. That's because people mention word games so many times in my room. I'm like trying to think of actual word games we could play. Is Scrabble the one that you get that timer where you get the like the which game is it that you have to do a timer? You get like the little hourglass and you turn it over and the sand runs through it. I'm not paying you $35 an hour to play Scrabble. I'm sure I could get everyone in this room to play a game of Scrabble for me and it'd be free. Oh, Boggle. That's what it is. Now I want to play Boggle. That's been a while. What's Boggle? It's got the thing where you press down on it and all the letters jump around. Now Scrabble seems boring to me. It's like pretending to be a dictionary. But Boggle, that was fun, right? That was where you press it down and all the letters jump around like dice. Is that what Boggle was? I'm trying to remember. And it has an hourglass timer. Now I want Boggle really bad. Remember the good old days? No, I'm showing my age. I've loved all those games. It wasn't just that those games were like better than video games or anything. It's that there was a lot of just kind of casual interaction, you know? Video games to me are like intense and you gotta have skill and all that, and I like them and all that, but you're just in that world, and I guess people who have the headsets and all that can interact with each other, but when I first played them, it's just you in the game and you're fighting a computer, whereas the board games, you dealing with people. I could just imagine even not just when I was a kid, but even as an adult, taking out a Boggle or something like that and getting stoned or something, just sitting with a bunch of people high trying to play a game like that would be fun as hell. Or it could be boring, but then you just put the game away and no problem. Debating is fun. I mean, I used to like really be into debating. I mean, you think I can like be all egotistical, play word games now? Now it's just kind of fun. I'm enjoying having conversations with you, trying to get your viewpoint. Man, if you would have had these types of debates with me, like when I was in my 20s, I would have just sit there and fought you like it was so important to win and all that, and I'd just be playing for points, and I'd get obsessed if I made a point you didn't get it, and I'd be like, but this point, I made 10 points, and you didn't get those, but you have to get the 1 point at least. I used to like really be obsessed with it. And then I'd also get insulted when people said I was a debater because I just like to have discussions and try and make certain points or whatever, whereas I didn't want to like win a debate or like I wouldn't want to argue like something I don't even agree with. And so I didn't like when people said I was a debater. So I debate that too. Most people couldn't beat me in an argument when I was in my 20s, but that's because I was like so full of my ego. It was ridiculous. Um, and plus, I would only debate things that I like filled my head with and was passionate about. And so I wouldn't debate something I didn't think I could win. Yeah, it was pure ego. And then even when I debated, then I reached a point of ego where I would debate somebody where I just knew in my mind, just I had an attitude against politics or politicians or how they had fucked with the economy. And I knew enough facts to know I was probably right, but I didn't like actually have a degree in economics. And I remember one time I was on a college campus just debating a college student like it was any other, like I was just debating a regular person who wasn't busting their brains every day. And one of the students uh, heard me debating somebody and shitting about being all negative about government and economics and politics, and the person's like, I got a degree in economics, and he just shut me down a couple times, and my ego couldn't take it, and my ego just jumped up and was like, okay, I don't know half the stuff he was saying, so I'd listen to what he said, and I'd find a way to keep it in my memory, and basically I'd lose, but while I was losing, I would start taking the facts. Okay, so what you're saying is this and that. And so by the time I got enough facts that he gave me to prove me wrong, I'd start using his facts against him. So halfway through the debate, I lost every argument that I had. But by that time, I learned everything where I was wrong. I corrected all my mistakes, and I basically said, "So if you're saying this, then what I said before may not be true, but this is true." So I started beating his ass halfway through after getting my ass kicked. It was like a boxing match. It's like round 1, 2, and 3. I'm getting my ass kicked, and then I get up and go again. Now I know how to box because I know not to do this, and I know not to do that, but I know to. And so it was like important to beat him after he beat me. It was just ridiculous. Okay, don't tempt his ego. Yeah, seriously. Beat with my fist. No, I was like trying to beat him like a boxing match. That's why I was doing that. Let's see. Even if you lose in the boxing, the part of the movie where you get up. If you can get up, then you can still fight. So you didn't really lose. Um, you can read my comments out loud. Wait, Asa, what comments did I miss? And now Hercules wants the meaning of life, which we all know is 42. Math debate. How can you have a math debate? I mean, I'm not a mathematician. I hated math, even though I probably could have been good at it if I cared about it. If I would have known about quantum physics when I first was learning math, I would have forced myself to learn it just so I could learn quantum physics. Acer and religion. Brian is a math debater. Oh my god, how would you debate that? 1 plus 1 is 2. Well, that's only if you use integers. What the hell? Even if I was good at that, I'd be bored with it. Why do you reject the word of the Lord? Lord or Lord? I want to continue with the conversation. Hercules is distracting me about the meaning of life and then math debating and then the word of the Lord. Why do you reject the word of the Lord? You must believe in the true. I can't. I love doing his accents and using his voices. What does math debater? Hold on. Oh, that's funny. Why do people? I like all types of trolling, but that one I don't. When people put words in trying to make you say something, actually, to make someone say math debater, that's not bad. But I had somebody come in and try and make me say something racist, and it pissed me off a little bit because it's just the math debater. That's kind of funny. You say something, you embarrass yourself. Okay. But when somebody come in and they typed in KNEE, meaning your knee, on your leg, and then they typed in GRO or GROW like a plant growing. Just trying to get me to say that word. Just and they put it in a sentence do you have a problem with them or something? Just basically something that if I'm reading all your questions out loud, so when I read that out loud, the people kept why are you saying that? And I'm I don't like being tricked into saying something racist or evil or something. If you're gonna trick me into saying something that just embarrassed me, fine. But that kind of annoyed me when they did that. But my fans know me, so they know that they figured out that I was just being trolled. Are you really an atheist, or are you just pretending to be an atheist? Do you believe you're an atheist? Knee growth. Oh God, you did it. After I just bitched about it. Are you the same person that did it to me the first time? Thank you, Acer. Capturing a moment. Hopefully it's not a moment where my eyes are closed. I'm just acting dumb half the time when they capture moments. That's what you get. Her clan members are atheist. I don't mind that you troll and got me all that, but that's specifically the one that I just annoyed me. So why do you have to use that one? I mean, we've got enough problems in the world without encouraging that and then trying to make my broadcast about that. Oh no, it's annoying. Okay. I'm going to be honest, I believe in spirits and such and found some interesting things. That's why I brought up the ego conversation. See, that's a whole nother conversation, Nexus. and it's almost 2 in the morning, so I'm not sure I'm going to get into that tonight. I mean, if I didn't have to work tomorrow, you get me on like a Thursday, I don't have to work Friday, and on a Friday, I don't have to work Saturday. And then, if it's getting near 2 in the morning and you bring up something deep or, interesting, and I don't have to work the next day, then I'm not really watching the clock that much. But I know I do want to stay up, and I know I don't have to wake up that early, and so I'll be tempted to just see how far I can take it. I had what was called scattered testing, which means on some subjects I tested below average, like there's some kind of learning disability or problem. I'm sure I have dyslexia and stuff like that, but like literally like almost showing an inability to learn. Then other things I tested off the charts, like literally they couldn't test it. It's called scatter testing because they just can't come. I don't know if they were able to come up with a number or not. I never really cared. Once they explained to me that it was scattered and basically said, hey, yeah, you're below average in this, and then you're way off the charts above average in that, then it's just like, well, basically if I'm interested, I can just hit any level I want, and then if I'm bored with it, then I just come off as somebody who's like mentally challenged. I was like, you know what, take your testing and just shove it. Because you can't put a number to it then if you can't really make a number out of it. What's your spirit animal? Are you asking me seriously, or I've discussed it before? How do you even know what a spirit animal is? A raccoon. And you're serious. Hercules is continuously trolling me. But Hercules is serious. So it's like, what's that cartoon Charlie Brown where Lucy promises that she's not going to pull the ball away this time. Every time he runs to kick it, she pulls it away. My spirit animal is the mallard duck. So there you go. There's my spirit animal. Why? I thought you knew what a spirit animal was. You told me you were serious. So if you know what a spirit animal and you know your spirit animal is a raccoon, how did you find out what your spirit animal is? The mallard duck. It's awesome, right? I remember, like, as soon as I found out what it was, I had like a lot of ducks come up to me, and I didn't feed them, and they still hunt around me, and it was really cool. And I saw one mallard, and it had like a white marking on its wing. It just looked like it really is blue, and then had a white marking. It was really unique. Whatever I saw, I'd never seen. I'm sure all animals have different markings, but I felt like I bonded specifically with that animal. You just looked up an animal you liked and said that's your spirit animal? It's not how it works, but okay. Read up. Oh, I missed something. Hold on. What'd I miss? Nexus says read up. Let's find out what I missed by Nexus. So the last thing I've seen you bring up was about that you believe in spirits and found some interesting things, and that's why you brought up the ego conversation. So if that's what you want to talk about, I can give you a few minutes, and I'm probably going to end the broadcast by 2 a.m. It's not because I want to. I can easily convince myself that I can go another hour and then another hour and then. Thank you for becoming a fan, Hercules. Trust me, I'm very nocturnal, and if I had it my way, I'd be staying up past 2, 3, maybe. Basically, I'd wait till the sun came up, and then I would just sleep all day, and then I'd do it again. But I don't have it my way. I have to be out the door by 11:50 a.m., which is not too early. But if I'm going to be up by 11 a.m. and I go to bed at 5 a.m., that's assuming I can even sleep, because it takes me a couple hours to sleep sometimes, the longer I stay up. Then I'd have 6 hours of sleep. That's assuming I could sleep. If the sun comes in my window, it's pretty hard for me to sleep. It's hard to sleep anyway once I stay up too late. And so I'll be lucky to get 2 or 3 hours of sleep. Control your ego and end your broadcast. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna end it at 2 a.m. So it is. I think it's like 1:45. So whatever you want to get into for another 15 minutes. That's as much as I can do. So music. I used to like have a very strong aversion to pop music and hated it, and now I see the benefits of it, and that it, when it gives credit to other music and so on. So I don't hate it as much. I try and indulge to some level. Like I like the voice and stuff like that. But my main music is like classic rock, and I like Bob Marley. So I'm not going to just say I like reggae, because I specifically like Bob Marley. And I like some other reggae, but mostly him. And then you know. Certain classical music like Mozart, Tchaikovsky, and then heavy metal even, because I got into that for a while. I can name off all the heavy metal I like. Jazz, very into like certain types of jazz, blues. It's like the basis of heavy metal and rock. So I mean, I could go on. I have like a huge collection of music that I was definitely OCD about. It collected like almost a terabyte, if not more, of music, and it's all organized in folders so I can find anything I want. Nexus is getting frustrated. I'm sorry. Um, so Nexus, were we talking about the experiences you had with spirits? Because I'm not gonna like hit end broadcast at exactly 2 a.m. If we're trying to get to a point, but I'm not gonna stay up much later than that. What specifically do you want to discuss, Nexus? Because we have about 15 minutes. You need to tell me what we need to discuss so we can get to it. All right, Hercules, cool. Please come in my broadcast. We have a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun with you. So come in and just whatever you want to say. Thank you for coming to my broadcast. Oh, thank you for the 10 likes. Awesome. Her clan is out. Wait a second, Nexus. I sat there and just asked you what you want to talk about. Are we? Oh, that's Acer saying her clan is out. I don't know what hashtag her clan means, because you did that twice, and I'm still not figuring out what it is. Oh, Hercules gave me 10 likes twice. Cool. Thank you. All right, Nexus, I am waiting because I want to hear what you have to say. So just take your time getting all your thoughts out so we can try and get into it. I need to put this away. Thank you, Acer. I mean, if people are too nice and nobody ever tries to, get in my head or debate me and shrink my ego down, put me in my place, I get bored. But then if people are just coming and troll me just to make it so we can't even have a conversation, then I get agitated. So you just can't make me happy, says my ego. So I constantly invite trolls in my room, and I have a lot of fun. And I feel like my broadcast would probably be like a lot more boring if I didn't, because I'm probably very boring a lot of times. But at the same time, there's like a limit. But we know what that limit is. Touch of gray. We like purposely try and put gray in your hair. Is that what that is? You said a touch of gray. Like that is that, right? Where people are trying to dye their hair so they can just like they don't want to, they want to get rid of gray, but they don't want to get rid of all of it. They want to make sure there's a touch of it. Is that real? That is real. That's funny as hell. That's like either you don't like it or you do like it. Why are you like purposely like, oh my god, I'm going gray, but I want to keep a little, you know? That's like a touch of fat, you know. I got a beer belly and I'm trying to get rid of it, and I don't want a six pack ab. I just want to have a touch of fat. I want to make sure that at least you can see a little bit go over. So I'm gonna lose as much weight as possible, and then I'm trying to get muscle and get toned up. But I want to make sure there's at least a little bit of fat, touch of fat. We could that's funny because we could sell touch of fat weight loss products. Oh my god! Oh man, I can't think about it. I'll start laughing my ass off. I'll just start acting like a crazy person on drugs. A touch of fat. Oh my god. It's funny, isn't it? I never came up with an idea like that before. I just start thinking about the touch of gray thing. It's like, because the mind does everything. And I remember coming up with stuff like that whenever I was like high on marijuana or whatever. And I trained my mind to be able to do that. Not trained it, but I can't explain. But it's like, I haven't smoked any marijuana, but here I am coming off ideas like that. It's the reason why I like marijuana, because I'd come off ideas like that all the time. I'm forced to slap it. Anyways, I learned from my experience a lot of things really influences the world. Yeah, it's true. And I'll try and we can try and cover what we can. I'm not going to keep looking at the clock, but we do have like 10 minutes because I'm not going to stay up to 3 a.m. I will not, like I said, I also won't like hit the drop at exactly 2 a.m. if we're trying to talk. But I'm not going to stay up much later. See, I mean, the thing is, I put the word spiritual in my name, and so then a lot of people come in and want to talk supernatural stuff. I've talked before about how I got into discussions with Jacqueline Glenn, and she thought I was, because I had the word spiritual, and I talk about certain metaphysical things, that I'm all about supernatural stuff. Uh, and I'm not. I don't want to promote religion. I don't want to promote fears or all that weird shit. But, as a shaman, I do know that there are other levels of reality, and from the atheist point of view, they're going to call it supernatural because they don't have another word for it. So it puts me in a bad position, really. I like to have 4 or 5% body fat, but I can't build muscle because I'm always doing cardiovascular exercise. But I don't even know how to do the cardiovascular, or if I do, my ego's fighting me against it because I know it's going to be much harder work. I can pick up these dumbbells and just move them in it. And when I first got them, I was mad because my ego is upset that it's so hard to pick up 15 pounds because I haven't been doing it. And it's not really that hard. It just should be really easy. It shouldn't even weigh anything to me. That's my ego talking. But it don't matter. I could get 40-pound weights and it might be hard, like a lot harder, just because I'm not in shape right now. But cardiovascular, that's where you try and get your breathing and stuff. I really need to look into it. My ego is fighting me so hard on it because you're telling me about this and I know I need to do it. And the more I know I need to do it, the more my ego is like, let's just do the weightlifting. That's easy. Just pick it up and move it. And your arms will look better. Girls will look at you. That's the important part. Don't worry about whether we die or not. We don't need to get our heart straight and all that. Let's just do the. Yeah, I can hear my ego now. I believe I preach. Yeah, I think it should be approached from a scientific point of view. I believe that everything physically exists. I get really annoyed, agitated, whatever word you want to use, whenever like religious people, especially the hardcore Christians, when they debate the atheist on the YouTube and they're debating, and they think they know philosophy, they don't, and they start talking about they start pointing out that materialism isn't really true, which is materialism is true because material things do exist and matter is real, but that's not all there is to reality. And they act like they know what they're talking about, and they start talking about the non-physical. And that's why I don't like the word supernatural, because it's like the word non-physical. Um, there's no such thing as non-physical in my point of view. energies, physical, everything that exists. Existence and physicality is the same thing to me, but it doesn't mean that it has to follow Newtonian physics, and things can get really strange, as in quantum physics they do. Um, so yeah, I do try to approach it all from a scientific point of view. I'm reading a book called. Let me get this book because I don't want to read the title wrong, and I love this book, and I have this book physically, like as a book, and I also have it on Kindle. That's how much I'm into this book. I think it's called Life on the Edge. Hold on. Let's see if it is. I guess I should have just Googled it. I'm pretty sure it's called Life on the Edge. I should have just Googled it. I'm sitting there wasting time doing that. I didn't think about being lonely. I've always lived with roommates, and they always made my life a living hell because, um, you have to live life according to their way, and I can be piggy. And I know that's not right, but it should be my decision, and they try and make it their decision to make me feel horrible about it. And there's all kinds of other issues about living with people. Um, so for me to finally achieve my own place where I can just come home and I can just cook at 2 in the morning, walk around naked, whatever I want to do, it's my place. It's like heaven, but um, and I've been in all types of things where I constantly would pursue friendships and relationships, especially, and just go on dating services. It would just exhaust me with all the bullshit that I had to put up with to try and get something going with anybody. And it's almost like I just completely gave up on the whole thing. And that's when I met a certain person that people have been watching my broadcast know, completely fell in love, and it's made me look at life different because I really wasn't open to it. But then it happened, and then I was just like, why would I not be open to this? So it's just interesting perspective to be like constantly pushing that away, and then have it happen to you, and like, this is great. Why did I avoid it? So that's a whole nother topic. Acer, have you not been watching my broadcast? Because I'm like trying not to get into it because it's like a private thing, but it's not really private because you could probably go on my broadcast moments and see a ton of it. But my fans know that I was broadcasting all this. I was doing a broadcast like I'm doing tonight, and I was getting deep into it, and I was trying to create Spirituanicus TV, and it's like a whole thing I was trying to do, and for like the whole month of June. Um, so you do know what's going on, okay? Yeah. So you don't know anything about it because I really don't want to. Now we're good friends, and I promise that I wouldn't like go over it because if I do, then there's positive and there's negative, and I don't want to like create all kinds of conflict about it. It was public at the time, so it's like you could ask any of my fans what was going on, and you could I'm sure you could find all our moments and stuff. If you've been watching from the beginning, you would like know everything that happened. But now I'm like all private about it because now we're just friends. And no, I understand. I mean, it was like very public, and there's like impossible for you not to know every detail, like for the whole month of June. Um, but now it's a whole different world. So I'm trying to just avoid the topic. Okay, study different frequencies of our R's and effects on the effects of DNA, which I mentioned earlier. Interesting. So, actual effects of the R on the DNA. Man, this needs to go on way more than 10 minutes. I wish I could copy from there. Can you write that down as a starting point for our next conversation? Because that deserves like an hour right there. And I don't have that time right now, as much as I would like it. Different frequencies of our R's and effects of DNA, which I mentioned earlier. Nexus. Yeah, write that down like as a specific thing because there's so many things we could attack on that, to get information on what you're saying because I have to know exactly what you're saying that you've done or studied or researched, and then what conclusions you've drawn about it. Um, and I think you would definitely like the book I was telling you about. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before, but basically, I've been arguing that quantum physics um, opens the door to that our brain creates that awareness in the brain, and something's going on that we could call the soul, and it's scientific. It's not supernatural. Although quantum physics is so weird that if you want to call it supernatural, you could, but it's not. Um, but it's definitely not Newtonian physics. It's something totally different. There's a lot of weird, strange aspects to it. And I like got in debates with atheists and other scientists, and I even got into like a physicist group, and I didn't even know that they're real physicists. I thought it was just a regular news group. And there was a big thing with Fred Allen Wolf, and now, after all these arguments and people trying to make me feel like I'm ridiculous for suggesting the soul might exist because of quantum physics, now there's this book called, I think it's called Life on the Edge, basically is one of the first books, because they've already been doing research on plants and how quantum affects biological life. And it's just become a new field. And now there's an actual book on how quantum physics and biology interact. And I think you would find it very, very interesting. It really does. I mean, and this book is just like one of my favorite books on it. And of course, I find it hilarious that my main point is that there might be a soul, and the quantum physics and our effects in our brain may explain it. And it's a physical explanation, not supernatural. Um, and scientists who, they don't want to open the door to that because then they open the door to religion. Now, I don't see why you have to open the door to religion. Quantum physics is real. If the soul is real, boom, it has nothing to do with religion. In fact, it actually fucks up religion because now we have a scientific basis and we don't need religion to explain it. Um, but they think it's a threat. So this book sits there and explains how every aspect of biology could be affected by quantum physics. But then the writer says, but not the mind, the hard problem consciousness. That's not affected by it. And he makes a good argument for it. It's just odd that he would draw the line there after an entire book of saying, yeah, we're open to it. We're open to every aspect of biology and how quantum physics interacts, but not the brain. The brain's different. It's not going to allow for what you want. It's not depression. I don't know why you keep bringing up depression. Um, I think if you're serious about that, I think is what you may be noticing is just a change in my energy because you know being madly in love kind of makes you high. It just makes you feel like you can do anything, and you know, um, and then if you're back to just everyday life, then I don't know. It's not the same, obviously. It's not depression. It's just that I'm not like ecstatically high all the time anymore. Life on the edge, which is fine. I've dealt with real depression, like when I was in my teen years. Like suicidal depression when I was like 16, like the real deal. So for me to not be high on life and all that, and just have to get my energies, balanced back towards something where I might be able to achieve like a higher level of energy by myself. Um, it's a challenge to do it, but at least I know what it's like. At least I know what my goal is, or I don't even know if I want to call it a goal, but at least I know it's real. Love is real and the energy is real. Um, it's just a challenge of finding it by myself. Life. I don't think it's called Life on the Edge. I can't. Darn it. That's why I wanted to find the book because I'll find it for you. I'm just gonna put Life Edge Quantum Physics and see if Google will figure it out for me. I'm so mad that I can't remember the. Yeah, Life on Edge Quantum Biology. I think this is it. Yeah, that's it. So it's actually called Life on the Edge, and it's quantum biology. The thing that I was told when I kept arguing for it couldn't be true. Just like when I argued for the multiverse, that couldn't be true. Now scientists are almost accept that. So scientists keep catching up with me. It takes them, I knew this stuff and figured this out and argued with people since I was like 16 years old, and now more than 30 years later, and scientists are like, yeah, okay. Let's see, who's the author of this? So it's called Life on the Edge: the Coming Age of Quantum Biology, and it's by Jim Al-Khali and John Joe McFadden. I mean, you just type Life on the Edge and just type in the word quantum. Thank you, Acer. Cool. That's awesome. Let's see. It is 2 a.m. And I said, if we got deep into something, I said I want to drop it. Well, we're not deep into something because Nexus has like a big subject that we're going to bring up probably next broadcast, and it's just too big for me to do because I'll be up till 3 or 4 in the morning, and to me that's like the line. I'm not going to enjoy waking up, with sleep if I'm up past 3 a.m. is like where the REM period is. I need to get my REM. I mean, I need to meditate, so I'm not so dependent 100% on it. But I still am trying to do normal sleep patterns, or at least close to it as I can do. Two hours and 45 minutes. That's what I'm sitting there trying to talk myself out of. Just we're enjoying this so much that it's like yeah, we could just keep going for a while. And I'm like, yeah, but I know if I do that, then the sun's going to come through my window in another couple hours, and I can't let that happen. No matter how much I would enjoy it, I would enjoy it until that sun came through the window. Then I'd be hating life. So I'm going to end this broadcast in a moment. If there's any last thoughts, I don't know if Nexus actually left to go get a pen. I don't know what's going on right now. Oh, Nexus is still here. Okay. Growing up, I had a lot of these ideas, and I was very passionate, like obsessive with it, and like I said, try to win arguments and fights. And so I'd be just like I am now, but I would be like twice as intense, and everything would be a fight, and then I would complain about it all being a fight, and it just got ridiculous. And at that age, I just couldn't imagine wanting to even talk to somebody in their 40s. And oh man, if a woman in her 40s came on to me as hard, to me 40. When I was in my 20s, the idea of talking to someone in their 40s, like talking to somebody who's 60 or 100, it's like the most horrible number in the world. And it had like a fear of ever becoming that age. And now it's just like whatever. It's just a number. I mean, I wouldn't give up my life experiences so I could change the number on my birth certificate. It's not that I've gained so much more knowledge; it's that I've gained insight and experience that allows me to be calmer and peaceful about it, and be able to get my thoughts across better without obsessing with them. Thank you, Acer. And they are very attractive. And what can I say? I can't lie about that, even though I'm 40. But I try and stay out of the rooms as much as possible because I didn't even realize when I started YouNow that I thought everybody was between 20 and 30 on YouNow. I thought it was like an adult site the way people discuss shit. I didn't realize that there was like a lot of young girls on here. And so now I just try to stay out of the rooms because practically nobody identifies whether they're 20 or 15. And so for my age, I don't even want to go in their rooms now that I know what's going on. So yeah, I think between 9 and 10 o'clock at night is like a good time for me to come on because if I commit to 8 o'clock, I'm just not going to be able to pull it off probably. But if I wait past 10 o'clock, then instead of 2 a.m., it'd be like 5 a.m. right now. So I'm just going to use the word. It's like when I first posted on here that I was going to either be here on 8 or 10. 9 o'clock is like in the middle. So I'm going to try and aim for that number so I can be a little bit predictable on it. So I'm going to call it a night. And I really enjoyed this broadcast. I think we had a lot of fun, and we certainly discussed a lot of topics. And I'm sorry if I jumped around a little bit too much as I was trying to address everything. And when I do broadcasts, I do like guesting. So anybody who's enjoyed the broadcast enough and has been a guest and wants to guest with me, let me know. I want to limit the time limits on the guests because I enjoy guesting so much I'll forget the entire room and we'll just guest for 5 hours. But I am definitely open to guesting people. Thank you, Nexus. Sleep is driven by your ego. On that note, I'm going to end the broadcast. That sleep is driven by the ego. And I'll leave you with an interesting fact that you might know or might not know, which is what science has discovered is that dreaming is actually more important than the sleeping. And if you deprive somebody of REM, they suffer from sleep deprivation more than if you deprive them of sleep itself. So they could go hours without sleep as long as they get their REM, but if they go without REM, it's a problem. And scientists can't explain why we need that. They try and give the simple explanation of just your brain winding down, blah, blah, blah. But if the brain was like a computer, the computers don't dream. So, you know what I mean? The brain could wind down and you could sleep, and they just can't explain it. They think they can explain it, but they can't. And also the thing about, Sam Harrison, Daniel Dent, all these people saying, they can't be a soul, blah, blah, blah. And they can't, not only can they not explain the hard problem of consciousness, but they can't answer the simple question that spiritual people ask, which is when you fall asleep and you wake up, and you don't remember dreaming or anything, where were you? You know what I mean? Or are you really saying that your brain's rebooting and creating another you, and the person, like every night you just die, and then your body wakes up and just goes through its memory and recreates who it thinks you are, and you're gone. You know what I mean? Who are you really? Because how are you waking up the same person every morning? Think about some of those. Oh, you still got your free spin? Okay, cool. I forgot that anybody had a free spin. I remember somebody said something about a free spin. Do you have it now? Oh, cool. 400 likes. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, they become less stingy on it. I used to complain because they'd only give you like 10, and if you got 50, it was a big deal. So now you can actually get, 400 or even 1,000. And I am writing a book on a lot of this stuff. I just got lazy on that too because I got a bit distracted, and I think you know why. Thank you so much. Thank you. Because I was like so chill. I was, when I get like this, it's like the beginning of the broadcast. I was like, is my brain going to shut down? Am I just going to sit there? And that's why sometimes when I don't want to think, or have discussions, I'll just go into, if I start my broadcast and it says ice cold chill, it just means that my nervous system is so racked that I just want to sit here and just act like a stoned person and just not really discuss anything, just laugh and joke. And then when I came into this broadcast, I didn't go to ice cold chill. And it's like, now I got to actually do a real broadcast. Oh, awesome. Thank you for more likes. Now I feel guilty about leaving. Because usually when people get likes, I notice like a lot of broadcasters will stay for another hour or two, and I'm like, I want to, but I don't think it would be very smart of me. But the thing is the more we do this, the more we get to know each other and get to discuss what we want to discuss, and know if I'm going to come on 9 o'clock most nights. Cool. So yeah, anything you want to discuss in the next broadcast? I'm gonna 90%. I don't want to say 100%. Be broadcasting tomorrow. I don't see why I wouldn't. I'm not gonna commit to broadcasting every day yet. I feel like that's a lot of pressure, and the conversations may not be as interesting if I'm constantly trying to be in that zone every day. And I'm just not gonna buy the whole YouNow that if you don't broadcast every day, then you don't respect YouNow crap. But I'm gonna try and be on tomorrow night. And if I'm not on tomorrow night, I will be the next night. But I'm going to try and be on tomorrow night, probably around 9. And you're going to have to explain to me what hashtag her clan is out. Because I keep seeing that, and I don't know what it means. But yeah, I really think, considering the subjects that you're interested in, I think that Life on the Edge, I think y'all, you should. It's probably in the library by now. A lot of, I don't know. the unfortunately books like that you'd have to like go into your internet and type into the library and make it pull it. You might have to pull it from another library if you don't want to like go buy it, or you can just go sit in a bookstore and read it, or you can buy it off the Kindle. I don't think it's that expensive on Kindle, but it's to me that book is like really worth it if you're curious about this stuff. Also, Fred Allen Wolf. I don't want to say he's my friend, but I do know him to a degree, sort of, kind of. He's written a lot of books you might find interesting, such as the Dreaming Universe, Parallel Universes, and then he has a book on shamanism, and he has a new book out too. It's all good. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get that bad. I was it was getting pretty crazy where I just wasn't even doing my broadcast. I don't think I'll get so bad that you have to wait a whole week before I broadcast. I just don't want to commit to the everyday thing and disappoint people and then feel pressured like if I don't do every day that I'm not really broadcasting. Float in the water and broadcast when it happens. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to keep to schedule like when I say I'm going to come in at 9 that it's going to, I might come in at 8 or 10 or whatever. I'm just trying to like not do what I was doing where I've let myself get pressure to broadcast and then I feel that I had to do it every day and then I'd broadcast later and later and then I'd be up till 5 in the morning. I'm just trying to keep myself to sort of schedule that I know I can get sleep. So that's kind of why I'm doing the little window between 8 and 10 o'clock and then don't want to really be on past 2 a.m. much. And then not every day. And then go from there, see how it goes. And hopefully I'll get a feel for what everyone wants to discuss and try and see what the best format is to try and try and do this. I have to write an essay. I would ask you what it's about and try and help you, but I really gotta go. It's just I'm just that way. I just want to help people, and I'm sure you're writing something pretty interesting. But I know I'll just stay for another 2 hours if I don't leave now. So if I broadcast tomorrow night, and you want to tell me how the essay went, what it was about, and I get curious about that stuff because I kind of didn't have the discipline to go to college. Personal statement for graduate school. Yeah, I'm just curious about that stuff because I really wanted badly to get my degree in anthropology, and I just didn't have the discipline, and so I'm always fascinated. Plus, now I'm writing books, and I'm trying to get the discipline to do research and stuff. So that's why I'm curious. All right, I'm gonna call it a night. Thank you everyone for coming to our broadcast. I'll try and be on tomorrow night. If not, it'll be the next night, but I'll try. Going to go bug Dizzy. Definitely go bug Dizzy. And tell Dizzy that Dizzy needs to come to my broadcast. You all have a good night.